are having a gala ball tonight, so I'm emceeing at that.
Well done. No better man than yourself.
But it'll be a bit of crack, you know.
Hopefully you get a nap before.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen today, but anyway.
Okay.
Sure, all's good.
All right, see you, Lee. Have a great weekend. Chat to you Monday morning. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show. Our Friday panel will be joining us very shortly, running through some of the biggest stories of the day and the week. But first, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The joint UK-EU body overseeing Brexit meets today to ratify the legal changes brought about by the Windsor Framework. EC Vice President Maros Sefcovic will meet with the Northern Secretary Chris Heaton-Harris and the UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly in London. As part of that EU-UK joint committee, the DUP leader Geoffrey Donaldson says he's not a quitter and won't give up in his campaign for an improved deal. However, Sinn Féin's Vice President Michelle O'Neill says the DUP is effectively punishing the people of Northern Ireland.
The Secretary of State needs to be very focused on these issues. I know that all the sectors are making noise, but this is politics. This is where we should be. You're elected to take these policy decisions. So I encourage the DUP to join with the rest of us and actually try to tackle these issues, to take them head on. Otherwise, the public continue to be punished by their actions.
People who emigrated from Ireland and those who belong to minority groups are the target of a new Garda recruitment campaign from this morning. Major efforts are underway to recruit 1,000 new Gardaí and have them trained up by the end of the year. The theme of the campaign is that it can be a tough job, but it's a job worth doing. New measures to help those applying include early advice on the fitness test, a buddy system, earlier vetting and online engagement with candidates. A Donegal deputy, meanwhile, is warning that politicising policing is not the way forward. Deputy Thomas Pringle was speaking as the second stage of the Policing, Security and Community Safety Bill 2023 came before the Dáil. He believes there needs to be more oversight and accountability. Deputy Pringle says this bill is a step backwards rather than forwards.
We know that following numerous scandals, key oversight and governance functions were moved from the Minister to the Policing Authority. However, this legislation looks to move these to a board that will be internal to Garda Síochána. This is even less independent than before these scandals, and it reflects the government's intention to repoliticise policing. We've seen, and particularly in my own county in Donegal, investigations that took place there, where the only concern of the state and the bodies was to ensure that the perception only stayed in Donegal, that these things all happened up there, but we knew that they were all happening across the board.
A Donegal-based senator is calling for a national debate on the provision of facilities for children with disabilities in all playgrounds and parks across the country. Senator Eileen Flynn, a member of the Oireachtas Disability Matters Committee, told the Seanad there are some excellent facilities in Dublin, but that needs to be replicated elsewhere in the country.
I live in rural Ireland, in Ardra, in County Donegal, and we have a lovely playground, and it's well invested, and you know the council has done a good job with it. Unfortunately, there's no play space or even a swing for a disabled child or a child who is autistic, and it's a conversation that I think we all need to be having.
Weather forecast, it'll be windy with fresh to strong and gusty southwest winds today. Outbreaks of showery rain with heavy falls at times. Brief, brighter periods as well. A chance of some hail or lightning in heavy downpours. Top temperatures today 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
The National Lottery Good Causes Awards celebrate the amazing work done in communities all over Ireland. We're now inviting entries for the 2023 awards, so if you've received National Lottery funding in the last 5 years, tell us all about the wonderful work you do, and don't be modest. There's €100,000 in prizes on the night, and the food's not too shabby either. Closing date for entries is March 31st. You'll find out how to enter at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. Support responsibly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9, Friday the 24th of March, and you're very welcome along to the last show of the week. Plenty coming up between now and 12 to keep you informed and entertained, so hopefully you'll stick around. And for the next hour, we're going to be joined by our Friday panel. We're going to go through some of the big stories that have been making the headlines overnight and throughout the course of the week. We want you involved in the conversation, of course. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number, 086 60 25,000. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. And don't forget, you can watch the show as you can every day live by going on to Twitter, Facebook or YouTube on your smart device. device, your big screen TV, your Fire Stick, however you want to engage with us, and feel free to get involved and say hello there. Right, okay, let's say hello then to our Friday panel. Firstly, great to welcome back onto the show PRO of Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, Paddy Rooney. Good morning, Paddy.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Seamus McDade, Managing Director of McDade's Football Special. How are you getting on? Good to see you again, Seamus.
Good, Greg. Good morning.
And last but not least, we have Michael McClafferty, Independent Councillor here in County Donegal. Good morning to you, Michael. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, panel.
Right,
Pleasure.
okay. Now, the big story of this week, and it has rumbled on for the last number of weeks, and will do so into next week, and that is the end of the no-fault eviction ban. The government survived a vote on it. They managed to secure the support of enough independents, and then won it comfortably, of course. But if you saw that 8 or 9 swing the other direction, it would have been much closer. But on paper, it seemed quite wide. They're going to face a vote of no confidence. The government, that is, I think, next week, brought through by Labour. Yesterday, Paddy, I'll start with you if that's all right. Yesterday, we spoke to a lady who is got an eviction notice, is facing eviction now. The landlord wants to do something else with the house. Family of 4, parents, 2 children, 1 local house, 8 other families into it. So this isn't an urban problem. It's a small Irish town. At the same time, we also got contact from a landlord, an accidental landlord, you could say, and they are being taxed out of it. It's not a nice environment for them to operate, and they're thinking of exiting. So that's a rental property out of the market. I mean, is there a solution to this that would have been fair to all parties involved, as far as you can see?
Well, we're 23 years into this century, Greg, and I knew this topic was going to come up today, so I had a look. The title of Minister Housing in a ministerial portfolio has been in existence for the last 22 years, either as a piecemeal add-on in the form of, Minister for the Environment, Local Government and Housing, or Minister for the Environment and Housing, or there's been a junior minister. And I think it's been after the 2011 government from then onwards that there was a full portfolio giving over to a Minister for Housing around the cabinet table. Now, that's a good part of 10 years that we've had a very clear focus, and a 20 years with some form of a focus. But can anybody say with any honesty, Greg, that whatever the government have been doing over the last 10 years or the last 12 years is working? Because it clearly hasn't. And the worrying thing about, I suppose, about all of this is that the best way to predict the future, Greg, is to have a look at the past. And if what the government has done over the last 10 years hasn't worked, and hasn't worked spectacularly poorly, I think the thing augurs very poorly. My son and his girlfriend were visited America in the tail end of last year, and they visited friends in California. And they were staying in a town or a city called San Jose. You may have heard it. And one of the things was the friends that they were staying with in a very small apartment that cost $4,000 a month for that. As a result of that, there was very high levels of homelessness in San Jose. And the unfortunate thing about it was that it was very, very visible. We have homelessness in Donegal, but it's not as visible as it is in Dublin. But in San Jose, it was not unusual to see people sleeping in tents, sleeping on park benches, and sleeping in doorways. But he said that the really sad thing about what he said was that in one way, while it was highly visible, in many other ways, it was completely invisible. That there was people walking by people. It was actually an accepted norm that because of the availability of property and because some people weren't able to provide for themselves, well, that was life. You're not going to agree with me, Greg, that we've already accepted that it's okay to wait 14 hours in an ED department up and down the country to get a service. We've already accepted in this country that it's okay to wait 5 years for a hip operation. Why would we not slowly but surely morph into a situation where we're going to accept this? We shouldn't, but we will, because in 2 weeks' time, Greg, we're going to be talking about something else.
But Paddy, And I know exactly what you're talking about, and you're right, and that's the way things move forward. But I suppose when you have the leader of the government saying that what we are about to do will lead to more homelessness, when we have, multiple, many vacant properties, and, it is accepted then, obviously, because if you've got the leader of a government that can say we are about to make a decision that will lead to more homelessness, it's inevitable, sure. That is an acceptance. It's the acceptance at the very, very top.
You see,
I know that's not quite the acceptance you're talking of, but...
No, I get your point. What the government are trying to do, and have been consistently doing over the last 10 to 15 years, is they want the market to solve this problem. The market can't solve it. Any interventions that the government have been taking in the market over the last 10 years, most of it has been on the demand side. And what I'm talking about here is that there is a generous grants to people who are first-time house buyers. The problem with that, though, is that you're bringing more people into the market and you're driving the price up. The HAP scheme for people that are renting means that more people can rent, driving up the price of rent. You have the shared equity scheme. I can get a mortgage of 280,000. The government will take 80,000 equity in my house. Hey, presto, I can now bid for a house for 360. All of those measures are driving up the price of either rental properties or sale properties, for the simple reason is the problem is with supply, not with demand. And I can see that I know what the government are trying to do here, but I've looked at a lot of current affairs programs on the national broadcasters this last few days, but no government representative is saying where their research or where their ideas are coming from that ending the eviction order will mean that more properties will come in on the market. Where is the evidence?
Well, you see, the funny thing is that you should say that, because I couldn't understand why that wasn't being questioned, because I was listening to an interview yesterday. Was it Pippa Hackett was on the national radio, and she was saying it's not really our decision. We've received advice. We've been told that this is the right way. Who is telling them that? Who is advising them of that? I'll come back to you, of course. Seamus McDade, the solutions are there, unpalatable for some. We heard yesterday from independent Thomas Pringle. It was simple. Tax the people out of the Airbnb market at 50, 60% tax. Give massive tax breaks to those in the long-term rentals. So rather than them paying 50-odd% for long-term rents, bring it down to maybe a 5% or no percent, and then at the same time tax the people who are using these properties for Airbnb out of it, so that it's not worth it for them. That would be it's bound to make more rental properties available. So the solutions are there. Why aren't the government, Seamus, acting on them?
Yeah, it's very difficult to kind of understand, Craig. And I think that, any solution, like the solutions that Deputy Pringle put forward there's logic behind them, and I can see why they would be worth trialing. And the government seem to be just continuing to do the same thing over and over again and obviously getting the same results. So it's a real lack of leadership from the government to try and trial a different strategy to see, can we get it out? Because, Patrick has said it very well there. They have a thought that the market would fix this problem. And ultimately, the market won't fix the problem, because if I'm a property developer, high property prices are what I want. So keeping the property market high, not oversupplying the market, is exactly what I would like to do, because that would keep the prices high. So the market's never going to really fix this problem. The government needs to intervene. And they're choosing to just sort of nibble around the edges of this problem and not really get into it. So, yeah, the concept of maybe we do something drastic like that, like overtax Airbnbs or
there is, as of today, there are, and just flicking through them, these are regular houses. They're your 2-3 bedroom bungalows and what have you. There are 695 beautiful properties available for you to book in Airbnb tonight. These aren't rooms in someone's houses. These are individual properties. This is in Donegal, 694. And yet, in one small time, we do live in an area that is heavily dependent on tourism. And to have tourism, you're going to need places for the tourists to stay. So I don't think we can sort of vilify Airbnb. I'm not vilifying
longer term.
No, I'm not.
Short term.
Yes, but I'm not vilifying them. But I'm on about. I'm looking here at a small townhouse that I don't know how many tourists are going to be in these houses this evening. As I say, all regular bungalows that lots of us live in. Obviously there's a few sort of wooden buildings, but these are the housing stock. They are regular houses. These aren't apartments overlooking Downing's Bay. Do you know what I mean? These are regular houses in every corner of the county.
Well, I guess what I would say too is sort of, why is the person who owns that house, why are they thinking they're financially better off to Airbnb it? The government have not also said, well, let's give tax breaks to small landlords to encourage them to stay in this market. I mean, the eviction ban, you can probably I would look at it similar to how we'd look at lockdowns. The idea behind it being a temporary measure to try and come up with a longer term solution. The government have brought in this and done absolutely nothing in the same way as they did with the lockdowns. They've done absolutely nothing to fix it. So therefore, the only thing they can do is keep the eviction ban in place longer term, because they're choosing, for whatever reason, to not try and solve this crisis.
Michael McClafferty, what do you think?
Look, Greg, what I think at the minute, just alluding to what the two speakers are saying there, the whole situation, the government has to come out here and lead by example here. The example's not been led here at the moment. We're clearly in a horrible, terrible situation for so many people at the moment. God knows what's going to happen now when April comes around, when all these cases start to come forward and evicting people and so on. We can talk about all the day and put all our solutions forward as my two speakers have there on the panel there, what they think should be going forward. But I feel myself, unless the government of the day, the leaders of the day, unless they're going to come out right and with proper solutions, we're just going to be talking the same thing this time next year. Only thing this time next year is going to be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, but that being said, the important of conversation is the general population get to have their say, and hopefully eventually the government has to hear that. I mean, we are heading towards a general election. This is probably one of the big issues an election will be fought on. So we can't sit in our hands and not talk about it. We have to talk about it. And also we all have to have our views on it, Michael. What is your view? What do you believe a reasonable solution to this crisis would be in your own county?
I would say a reasonable solution would be, first of all, like you're saying there, and I'm not suggesting neither we sit in our hands and don't talk about it. But what I am saying is the government of the day are not listening to us. We see this in many aspects. We email ministers, we email officers and different things. Some of them get back when it suits, some of them don't get back at all. And there's no getting away from this situation now. This last, whatever is now, 10 years or so or longer now, since the whole situation arrived here with the Macon and the Jones, since it all come to the forefront. They're not helping. Like those people down in the Zone or the Kenny, various other places now that have Macon, as well as the people that are going to end up in evictions now going forward, they need to get houses for one reason or another, and that is not coming forward. And it's not helpful when we're trying to get answers off the people in power and they're not coming out then giving answers for it. I think myself, they're just kicking the can down the road, Greg, hoping that they're going to push it off for another while.
I know, but I recognise you were observing the problem, and I think lots of people can see that too. But, you are elected representative in the local authority. Do you believe the local authority has a role? If you do, what do you believe that role is, for example?
I believe the local authority's role is taking a strong stance in matters and holding these people accountable, and where possible, as we've asked for different times, get these ministers of the day, get them into the room in Lifford or elsewhere and say what's going on, why can they not do things or so on. Like going up to the Dáil in Dublin, as such, where I wasn't able to get the last of the Macon protest was up, there doesn't seem to come anything out of it. And this is the thing. The point I'm saying here is, Greg, the leaders in Dublin are simply not listening to us.
Okay.
They may come out early and shake hands with you and talk to you for 5 minutes, whatever, pass themselves and away again. But once you go in the bus or in the car down the road again, it's bye-bye, and that's it to the next time again, to the issue arises again, or the next protest, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And it's a sad state of affairs for us here in Ireland, Greg.
Paddy, when I sort of started going down the Airbnb route and taxation and what have you, I'm not sure if you were shaking your head or nodding, or I mean, like there is another thing going on here in that people own these houses. This is private property at the same time too, and how comfortable is the general population with the government's, some would say, overreach in this area between short-term and long-term rentals. But do you believe something like tax breaks for long-term renting, heavy taxation for Airbnb is a solution to at least free up some of those 695 houses in Donegal, for example?
Well, now you're getting to the nub of it, Greg, because the constitution of this country protects private ownership of property. I'm sitting in my own private house here and I can do whatever I like with it. And the government are constantly putting forward this mantra about the fact that, private ownership is guaranteed in the Constitution and there's only so far they can do. Michael is after saying there about the government is not listening. Well, actually, I would disagree with that. The government is listening, but they're listening to different people. God only knows what's going on behind the scenes in relation to how public policy is made. Remember, property developers and landlords are well represented in Dáil Éireann, and those two groups, I suspect, are well able to purchase high-powered lobbyists, and quite often these are former politicians who know what doors to knock on and what buttons to press and so on, whereas people on low incomes can't afford to do that. So there's a completely unequal balance here. I mean, there's a lot of things I find upsetting about this. I'm not avoiding your bit about the tax and all that because I don't know the ramifications of all of that, but the whole way that Jed Nash of the Labour Party made a good comment, was it yesterday in the Dáil, about the fact that the government, they knew that they were going to be short, so they had to go to the rural independent TDs. And he wants a list of all the goodies that the government gave out to those 5
I'd like that too.
Rural TDs in order to vote for them. Now, the official stance from the government is there was nothing given. But I can see Dennis Naughton was like a rooster in full plume on the TV, very proud of himself, what he had got for Roscommon to vote. And the real horrible thing on top of horrible about this is some of the stuff that the government have actually conceded. And there's division now within the government over this. And this is about the fact that elderly people who are living in their home, who find themselves in residential care, that they can rent their property and the money will not be charged towards the Fair Deal scheme. Now, Age Action Ireland, a representative from that organisation, was on the news last night, and she put forward a very, very strong case why that should not be done, because it would encourage the premature admission of elderly people into residential care, and the fact that families being families, and that there may be issue about, elder abuse or financial abuse.
Coercion.
Is that money now, $1,000 a month, is 12,000 a year. That's going into the elderly person's estate. And hey, presto, it's the family members who are going to get that. And that seems to me like really, really dangerous policy. It was decided on in 5 minutes, and it's really poor form.
It really is worrying. And what you mentioned about buying the independents, I want to talk about that separately after a break. But I want to put it to you, Seamus, if that's all right, because you kind of took the worm as it relates to taxation, and taxing people out of Airbnb and taxing the tax incentives for rental. In other words, trying to coerce people to do with what the government wants with their private property. Like, how far is it down the line then, Seamus, if we do go down that road, that you're living in your house, let's just say it was a 5-bedroomed house, your family have flown the nest and it's just you and your partner, and the government says, right, we're going to put a tax on you because there's 3 or 4 bedrooms that aren't being used all the while. Do you know what I mean? It's not a huge leap necessarily to go down that route, so in other words, is your own private home actually your own private home anymore?
Well, truthfully, Greg, in a normal functioning housing society, you should be leaving that house anyway, because in other societies where there's full stock of housing, a family would, there would be empty nesters, and then that older couple would then move to a smaller apartment and that house would become available for a young couple. That's how it works in a normal situation. It's the supply issue here. And I think that I'm not sure that long term I wouldn't support heavy taxing on Airbnb. But we're in a crisis, and nobody in government is suggesting any radical solutions for a temporary problem, which is what the high tax or on Airbnbs or high tax breaks, or even a suspension of the draconian planning laws we have here. So the local authorities can say all they want. Oh, well, this is a central power problem, but there is very difficult processes to go through to apply for planning permission. None of that is changing. And I don't really see anybody in opposition proposing anything that will radically change this problem either. So this problem will be fixed whenever the supply matches the demand, which may take 10 years, may take 20 years. but without doing anything radical.
It might take longer than that, though, because our population is growing and there's lots of people that are coming to this country that will want to stay here. So we are actually, what's happening is that the demand is going to be far outstripping the supply for a long time to come, unless we deliver housing in a quicker, different type of way. And there's no other, unless they're hoping that enough people emigrate that there's empty.
No, but I mean, the concept that we couldn't build, we have a target of 30,000 houses a year that we can't even hit. But if we could get 1 year of 70,000 houses, we might have cleared a lot of the backlog of this. I would like somebody in government or in opposition to say, here's my plan to build a massive number of houses to get us out of this crisis. Nobody is really tackling that. We need a massive supply of housing here, right. And it's a very simple crisis to fix. Just build more houses.
All right, Paddy, did you want to come back in there before?
I did. I wanted to say two things on that. One is that Larkin, sir, at a lecture on housing in the DIT in Dublin, said last year that there's actually, if you look at all the vacant properties, and he's not even talking about derelict properties, but the vacant properties, and he's really talking about Dublin and the environs, but I think you can apply this logic around the country, that if you look at all the vacant properties and all the properties where there might be a single person living in a 4 or 5 bedroom house. Am I?
No, you're there. Sorry, there was just yes, I can. There was just a little bit of a glitch, but keep going.
Oh, there. Oh, sorry. I thought it was down. There's actually, so with all the properties that are vacant and with all of the people, single people living in 4 and 5 bedrooms house, there is actually enough property there. There is actually enough accommodation there for everybody, if you wanted to look at it that way. And the second point is that the government are making the claims about all the houses that they're going to build. Kieran O'Donnell, the junior minister, said on TV last night that they were going to build 30,000 houses this year. The problem with it, though, is that there's no point saying that building houses in Letterkenny and Tralee are going to fix the housing problem in Dublin, because the accommodation has to be put where the need is greatest. I mean, I'm after reading an article in the Irish Independent this morning where there was an application by a property developer for 1,200 units not far from the airport in Dublin, and on Board Planala turned it down. I mean, Dublin, the planning department in Dublin County Council and Board Planala are tossing down planning applications in Dublin at a rate of knots. How are we ever going to achieve this when we have that? Maybe that's the right thing to do. We don't want to go back to a situation where we have 1960s Ballyfermot all over again and stuff like that. But trying to get something done and available in the right place where it needs to be is really, really difficult.
And Michael McClafferty, just before the break, I suppose we see that here in Donegal because, you need the right houses in the right place. And even on such a small scale here, we have, the last set of figures I looked at, I think it was for 2019 or 2020, 1/3 of social housing being offered is refused.
Yeah, Greg, you're right. There's no getting away from it. That is a problem. It is an issue, all right, for the people that wish or choose not to take the house when it's offered to them. That's a matter for the people in question themselves. I suppose going forward, the other problem we have here in this country.
Well, is it a matter for the people? Should people be allowed to refuse property like that and stay on the housing waiting list just because it might not be in the right place or it mightn't have storage for a motorbike, or there's lots of, and I mean, of course, then there are the reasons why people don't want to move their children from one school to another. But in a housing crisis, should someone be able to refuse a house from Donegal County Council and remain in situ on the housing waiting list?
Well, Greg, it tells them, I stand by my point. It doesn't matter for themselves, to be honest. It is their choice because we don't know what their circumstances are. For example, you could have a person, a single person, you could have a mother, a child with some children. She may not be able to drive. Her circumstances, there could be difficulties with schools. You don't know. Like it's all very well saying no, put them off the list, but we don't know.
No, I never said that. I'm just, I'm just saying we are in an absolute crisis here, and such a high level of refusals of social housing for whatever reason. I presume you're on a housing waiting list if you're desperate for housing.
Well, the point. You are, Greg. Yes, of course you are. But the point I'm saying is, even if a person does refuse a house for whatever reason, and look, I come back to think, it's down to circumstances. And some of these circumstances can be very sensitive as well, without going into details. As any councillor knows, or anybody involved in public life knows, depending. But the thing is as well, if I refuse a house, you refuse a house, Greg, it's not the end of the world because there's 10 more waiting in that house anyway.
All right, okay.
So I suppose in a way, I suppose in a way it's a bit like a Rubik's Cube as such. It is always revolving, but the house is never lost. The house, somebody gets the house because unfortunately there's that great in Eden, Donegal. The house is never lost. And I suppose back to the point was made there earlier as well about building houses. We have a real problem in this county, in many counties, and including the whole country as such. Our young people, our young skilled people, they're all heading away. So even if somebody did come up with an idea tomorrow morning, government build so many thousand houses, we may or may not have the skill force there to do it and the workforce there to do it.
And if you hear us to say just, and then we'll take a break. I mean, part of the problem too is in talking about bringing vacant properties back into use. You know, a lot of these like the government have set regulations and standards to which houses must be brought up to, right? And I mean, I think a lot of these vacant houses that are being counted and we say, right, let's bring them up to scratch, probably aren't financially viable or incredibly expensive to do so because of the rigorous standards in terms of energy saving and all that type of stuff that they have to be brought up to. Could that be part of is that a major problem with part of the solution, Seamus, for example?
I think we need to probably really try and be very clear on what the definition of a vacant property is, because if you drove around Ramelton, there is plenty of derelict buildings, but they're not vacant as such. So there's no real chance that they could be brought back into use without substantial.
Like there's a shed there's a shed close to where I live that has an air code. Is that classed as a vacant property, I wonder?
Yeah, that's what I would wonder too, because I actually can't say that I know of many vacant. I don't think I know of any vacant properties, and the vast majority in our county of vacant properties. But
the 700 vacant properties in Airbnb tonight, Seamus.
Well, Airbnb is and there will be others that are holiday homes. But again, we are a county that relies on our tourism, so we're going to need holiday homes and Airbnbs as well. However, I do accept that we are in a crisis, and a crisis calls for certain actions, and that may be a short-term solution to the problem. But yeah, I hear figures for vacant properties all the time that I wonder, are they where the metric of that is?
Yep. All right, then, listen, thank you very much indeed. That's the voice there of Seamus McDade. He's the MD at McDade's Football Special. We're hearing from Independent Councillor Michael McClafferty and Paddy Rooney, PRO of Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital. More from them and your views as well, wherever you're listening to today, coming into us after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
He's back. Come on! Mario Rosenstock is back live on stage in 2023.
What a lovely surprise.
Gift Grub Live 23, the brand new show.
Give us the gory details. What's it all? Go on, boy.
Friday, 30th of June, Mount Errigal, Letterkenny.
Can't wait to hear this, Dennis. This should be interesting, right?
Tickets from €39 on sale now from Venue Box Office and Ticketmaster. Additional charges may apply. The brand new show, Gift Grub Live 23. Bring it on.
Are you going to see Mario? Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €65 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Letterkenny Medics is a new private clinic open on the Port Road, Letterkenny. Dr. Mohammed El Prea and Dr. Ripu Singh are offering daily appointments from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days per week, with services including full cardiac screening, weight loss and health checkups, minor injuries, minor surgical procedures, joint injections and chronic pain management, with full medical consultations up to 30 minutes. To book your appointment, go to letterkennymedics.ie. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
Ready for a change or upgrade? Think Seat. With our wide range of award-winning Seat SUV, including the bold crossover Arona, the family favourite Ateca, or the spacious 7-seater Tarraco. All vehicles come with great offers on finance and PCP options. Book a test drive today by calling DMG Motors on 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie. Choose your new 231 Seat with confidence with a visit to DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 9:34. Just a quick one on the vote yesterday. We'll start with you, Michael, if that's all right. I mean, if you were an independent TD, would you be bored? Could you, if you got, say, for instance, Dunfanaghy Medical Centre fast-tracked to build, would that be enough for you to back the government on a vote on ending no-fault evictions?
Well, Greg, first of all, it'll be a sad state of affairs if that card is waved to me, to be quite honest.
But that's what's happening. This is what these independents do.
I know that, but not all. Well, some may, but not all of us do. I'll go back to the point again. It'll be a sad state of affairs that has happened up.
Yep, go ahead. We're hearing you loud and clear.
It's a sad state of affairs what has happened, obviously, with the independents over the last few days, because clearly they're not really independent at all when they're so easily bought. And secondly, then, the health centres are stands in the fanny. We're nowhere further forward with that at the moment. But that's
no, I know. It was just an example. I mean, like if you were in government,
I know that, Greg. I know that. I get you.
But if they said, "Look, back us on this, and we'll make sure the diggers are on site in 6 months," could you say no to that?
I would say no to it, Greg, yes, because I couldn't say yes to one thing, much and all as I wanted, much and all as people in the family wanted, but I couldn't say yes to something just basically like to get a backhand to get it, and on the other hand, then so many thousands more people suffering. I couldn't let myself do that. My heart wouldn't allow me, Greg, to be quite honest with you.
What about you? What about you, Seamus? Could you do it, or do you think at the very least, us as the taxpayers, and we're often reminded when the government's spending that we are the taxpayers, that we should know what deals were done to secure votes, what deals will have to be done next week as well, by the way, and how much is it costing us?
Yeah, well, it should definitely be public knowledge what deals are done. I think, to be fair, if you vote independent, you are probably voting with local issues sort of right at the core. So I think if you're an independent voter and your independent TD goes and does a deal that gets something good for your constituency, you're probably happy enough with that. And I think independent TDs, that's kind of their bread and butter. That's what they do. They give their support around in return for things for their constituency. And I don't have a problem with it, except for that it's not public knowledge. I mean, it's ridiculous that it wouldn't be public, that it's not public knowledge. But I don't have an actual problem with them doing that.
Paddy?
I mean, at a certain point in time...
Go ahead, yep. No, continue your point. Go ahead. At a certain point in time.
Sorry to interrupt you, Greg. At a certain point in time, that's, I mean, in all levels of power, I mean, that's what the DUP tried to do with the Brexit vote. They tried to say, we have some votes here, we'll give it if you give us a good deal. Going way back to Home Rule, the Irish Parliamentary Party tried to use it. I mean, this is the balance of power. If independents hold the balance of power, this is what they do.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, do we not need to move away from that type of politics, though? Like, that acceptance is depressing.
Well, not if you're like your suggestion you said, not if the locality not if that's what it takes for. I mean, again, it's crazy that's what it would maybe take for some of these TDs to get things in their constituencies. And we need maybe some sort of decentralised government that they wouldn't be able to do all these deals. But at the current climate current system that we live in, this is a good way for independents to manipulate the system.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, it is, because it works, I suppose, whether you like it or not, Paddy.
Well, I don't like it, Greg, and I think it's an awful way to do business, because when people are elected to Dáil Éireann, they're there to work in the public interest, not in the local interest. I can see why they would. The first time that this ever became a big issue, I suppose, was when Tony Gregory was, he announced the deal that he got for inner city development from Charlie Haughey to get his nomination for Taoiseach. And we had, Gerard Cunningham's book about the Morris Tribunal and how the funding for the Harry Blaney Bridge come around. Mark McSharry about cardiac services, Sligo, the Garda station and Step Aside, and so on and so forth. But putting a Garda station and Step Aside, perhaps we would like the Garda station in Milford to be retained. What good is the Garda station and Step Aside to us? I mean, there's no equity or fairness in all of that. And all of that is just about sort of the government, trying to maintain power. And that's just no way at all to run a government, as far as I can see. I mean, if Mark McSharry's vote was very important for the government and the vote of confidence, Sligo gets cardiac services, Letterkenny, because they don't have an independent in that position, don't get it. I mean, that's just no way to run a country or run a health service, as far as I can see.
And at the very least...
I can imagine why they're doing it, Greg.
Yeah, and also, to the reason why it's not made public is because that would pull back the curtain. and we would see it all. We accept it because it happens behind closed doors. But if we were to be told what is being agreed and how much it's being costed, and to what extent, like say, for instance, a project gets bumped up the list, people in other areas that are bumped down the list have a right to know that happened and for what reason. And I think the public should be demanding this.
Yeah, can I just make the point here? The two Healy-Rae brothers both voted on opposite sides yesterday, as far as I know. Michael Healy-Rae voted against the abolition of the ban, and Danny Healy-Rae voted for it. Danny was one of the 5 TDs that voted for it. Now, what do you think went on there? Do you think that he didn't do the popular thing and vote against the ban? He got something for it, but it's not out there in the public arena, and that's no way to do a public administration, as far as I can see.
Right. So, but Seamus, you still see some merit in it. I mean, if it delivers for the local region, I think we have Michael and Paddy kind of in the same space. I mean, and simply because it is in our area, like the likes of Thomas Pringle did decline to back government for a bit of, a bit of good news for his region. Yeah, and he subscribes to the same view that Paddy does, that he's elected to represent the country, not his constituency. I don't think I'm misquoting him in that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you should definitely accept the deal. Like, you have to go with your conscience. But the system is set up in a certain way right now, and they are using the system. I don't think the system should be set up like this, but it is set up like this, and I don't really have a problem, because it's one of them things. Everybody loves to give out about the Healy-Raes giving it, but if Donegal TDs were getting it, we'd be quite happy. So when it's not happening, when it's happening in your constituency, you're quite happy with it. When it happens in your constituency, you give out about it.
Right, okay. EU leaders agreed last night to jointly purchase 1 million artillery shells and send them to Ukraine over the next year, as Taoiseach Leo Varadkar warned that appeasement has failed and Putin will stop where we stop him. That's the words from Leo Varadkar. But then senior officials have said, however, that Ireland would not contribute to military aid to Ukraine, and the agreed conclusions of the EU leaders at the Brussels summit specified that the decision to send artillery shells was without prejudice to the specific character of the security and defence policies of certain member states. Can we ride two horses like that? You've got, Leo Varadkar effectively saying on our behalf now, when he speaks, whether people like it or not, whether you voted for him or not, he says, appeasement has failed, Putin will stop where we stop him. Are you happy enough with that kind of language on your behalf being spoken, Michael?
No, 100% not, Greg. Leo Varadkar should not have put that point across on the people of Ireland's behalf, because it's not that long. It's only a couple of weeks ago or more where I believe Leo Varadkar said, I do believe it was thought, that Ireland was going to help and help the situation, all right, but there's more kind of medical ways and stuff like that, sending stuff like that. That's the way they were going to help on, but I don't see now why the U-turn and they're going to support now, buying 1 million shells.
But we're not, you see, we're not going to support that, right? But we are training soldiers to fight on the ground. Let's not forget that, or we're sending people to train them. But do you believe that...
We are supporting, Greg. Yes, we are supporting. I'll tell you why we're supporting. Once these F-16s and fighter jets and MiGs and everything else and tanks of the day, all these various names that we never heard tell of before, are landing a ship to Ukraine at the minute. Some of them are there, more coming. Once that all starts, and once America gets involved, and America will get involved, Britain will get involved, France will get involved, all other countries will get involved. And the moment America gets involved, Greg, we will not be neutral, because no doubt again, Ireland will have to go backing up again then as such, let it be political support, whatever the case may be. Our Irish government cannot sit silent and just sit back and say, okay, boys, it's terrible what's going on. That's not going to happen. We all know that. And it's not good for ourselves either. And it's definitely not good when our leaders are speaking on behalf of the people of Ireland without any consultation. Nobody wants this war no more than the pure Ukrainians themselves that are stuck in the middle of it. And indeed the Russians as well on the other side that have been forced into it. And both sides now forced into the front line. It's a holy mess. Just that's all it is. No more than these other countries as well. That's had it for years and years to no resolve. Yeah. And I don't think the way this is going either. This is just heading down to another, what would you say, a Vietnam or something like it, along the same lines again.
Paddy, appeasement has failed and Putin will stop where we stop him. Are you comfortable with Leo Varadkar's language on your behalf?
Look, everybody, we need to wise up here. There is a proxy world war being fought here. Are people watching about what?
Well, it's a year
Iran
since we had that conversation, and that's as it was called out on this item, and it was yourself and myself that talked about that.
It is, and it is. You're correct, and it's actually getting worse if people are following, because arch enemies Saudi Arabia and Iran have signed a deal or signed an agreement to let bygones be bygones, and China is the honest broker that brokered that deal. China is now going to accept there's new pipelines being oil lines from Russia to China, and China is going to give Russia military equipment in exchange for that. So the ante is going to be up all the time. We had, in the Second World War, for instance, Ireland was de facto neutral, but in practice they weren't neutral. And Damon de Valera, who was the Taoiseach at the time, was happy enough to turn a blind eye to it. I mean, we were using down the West Coast all the weather stations and observation posts and all that. We're giving the Americans and the British military, intel on sea and air traffic movement, and also on climate change. Because Eisenhower, when he decided to pop the ships across the English Channel on the 6th of June 1944, remember it was the weather station in Blacksod Bay in Mayo was the last thing that they spoke to before he pressed the button to give the go. So we were officially neutral there, but we weren't in practice neutral.
No, of course. And then we have the use
if
of
there was any Germans or anything happened, they were arrested.
Not to mention
the British Americans, they were all handed back.
Yeah,
so
and we had the
weren't neutral then either.
No, with the corridor. We had the corridor for the bombers leaving Enniskillen, heading out to across Finnecamp. During that horrible invasion of Iraq, Shannon was available to them. So to that point, then,
the point that I mean, this gets murkier about prisoners of war, or whatever they call, from Iraq that were going to Guantanamo Bay. Some of those airplanes, a lot of them went through Shannon Airport. So the point I'm making here is this is not new, right? We are officially neutral, but in practice we are involved at a low level so far. I mean, the size of this country, we can't do anything to really change materially anyway. But there will come a point of time here that we're going to have to stick our colours to some mast, we're either with Western democracy and we're with the European Union and with the Americans, or we're with the Russians. It's going to get very black and white here. Because Leo Varadkar, I have to say, is right. If, for instance, Vladimir Putin gets his way in Ukraine, Poland are very, very worried that they're going to be next. They're ramping up their military as we speak and preparing for that day. You know that.
Yeah, and Seamus too. The problem is that it's not in anyone's interest for this war to end anytime soon. You know, the world's boundaries are being redrawn. This is all working, I think, very well for the Chinese as well, and it's probably no surprise to see that recent visit, and almost also to see Putin subservient to the Chinese leader. The Americans obviously would have their motivations, the British as well. This is going to drag on, and all the while, thousands of people dying over what? There's thousands of people dying over a destroyed city. The city is destroyed. But where does this all end, Seamus, do you think? It's incredibly worrying. I mean, we get used to it, but if you allow yourself to think about actually what's going on for a moment and how this is what's happening on a worldwide scale, this is going to take quite some time to figure out.
It's an incredibly complex situation. I would say, Greg, that the one group of people who definitely want this war to end quickly is the poor Ukrainians and the 6 million Ukrainians who've had to leave their home country because a foreign army has decided to invade there. I think that Patrick summed it up very well there, that, Irish neutrality is a cod and is just a cloak to not invest in our defence forces. But at the same time, Michael also made a very good point in that we are officially a neutral nation, and our Taoiseach is now just deciding that he's going to send artillery, he's going to fund artillery shells. So he needs to take that back to the people to say, do we not want to be neutral anymore? Do we want to be on this side? I would support that strategy, but he can't just decide mid-government cycle that we're now going to fund these things. In terms of where this whole war ends, it's very, very complex. I mean, there's an awful lot going on here, and I don't know where it ends. But as I say, your only sympathy should be with the poor people of these cities that have been razed to the ground by a foreign army. And these poor people who we have all over the country who do not want to be in Ireland because they want to be in the Ukraine but can't be there because Vladimir Putin has decided he's going to invade there.
Michael, do you want a last word on this before a quick break?
I think both speakers are right there. I just a sad state of affairs. And look, at the end of the day, people are making a fortune out of this. The military crowd and ammunitions and everything else. And unfortunately, people on both sides are suffering, being killed, innocent people, young people, middle age, everything. For what? Like, for people to gain power. And it's just the world greed again is causing the whole problem.
See, maybe I'm quite naive, but I thought countries like ours that are neutral or purportedly neutral use that position by way of becoming a peacemaker, especially when we have this much heralded peace that was reached on this island. But am I being naive and stupid on that?
I wouldn't say that you are, Greg, either way, but I would say, as my own personal point of view, what is it, March 2002, when the first fighter jets from America landed in Shannon Airport, we lost our neutrality that day, to be honest with you, in my personal point of view, because once they land there to refuel, we're aiding and abetting a war, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Irish people may not be particularly out fighting it, but we're still aiding and abetting it, helping those planes get fueled and refueled. So I think we've lost at that time, and just to remind people as well, we don't need reminding, but we had the Russian ships here mined around this time last year, up around Dublin, off the Irish coast, sorry. So, like, what were they doing there? What were they in up? Who knows where the submarines are about? We need to be very, very careful. We're a small island here. We need to be very careful what's going on here, what's been said and what's not been said with our leadership. I just feel that, Greg.
All right, back with more, a final wrap-up from our guests after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000. Plus $5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place Thursday, 6th of April on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Ooh.
Keep your car or van running smoothly with a service at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. Not only will it minimise the risk of a major repair expense, but it will be logged in your vehicle's service handbook and help its resale value. Hegarty's also offer everything from new and pre-owned car sales to parts and body repairs in their approved body shop. Book a service online this month and save €30 when you use the code FORD30. You're always in good hands at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. See hegartys.com.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
Are you still struggling with slow and unreliable broadband? Imagine is connecting thousands of homes to high-speed broadband in your area right now. So why wait? With Imagine rated excellent by Trustpilot, you'll soon be working from home with ease, streaming your favourite shows and sports uninterrupted. Join the thousands of connected homes and businesses today at imagine.ie. Service subject to availability, terms and conditions apply.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Imlíana, tá grád caighdeánach an fetra linéireann le hathrú go brosla níos glaise. I a de.
sé iad an petrol caidanach atá á úsáid hena héan na dúsgurt éireann sa bhreatain agus an go leor tíre orpacha eile. Tuisgur brosla níos glunne be sin na chuidú agin in éireann ar sprochan éráid a bhaint amach ar nastíochtaí a laidú agus ar neistú go saol níos inmhunthe a bhrúchan cín. Le tuile óla se áil te chuig gov.ie/iad. Tachtdrucht ó Rialtas na hÉireann.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com because life matters.
Keep out the cold, and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
In partnership with Hot Press magazine, Irish Music Month is all about recognising the value of Irish music to everyone in this country and across the world. Help us celebrate Irish Music Month as we play more Irish music than ever before, promote bands and artists, and provide a €100,000 fund for artists to perform on independent radio stations across the country. This is Independent Irish Radio supporting Irish music. This is Irish Music Month, supported by Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. From March 26th, Aer Lingus will operate a daily service to London Heathrow, providing onward connections to 80+ destinations worldwide. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, let's have a look at the weather forecast for this morning, and I can tell you that today will be windy with fresh to strong and gusty southwest wind, outbreaks of showery rain and heavy falls at times, and brief brighter periods, chance of hail or lightning in heavy downpours, highest temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees. In the last couple of minutes, Seamus, should we put the clocks forward this weekend, or should we stop meddling with that malarkey?
I never really understand the argument either way on it. Like, it's kind of
just
like
pure indifference.
How is it still a thing, and also, but why should it not still be a thing? So I never really get why people get so worked up about it.
Paddy, what do you think? Should we put the clocks forward, put them back, leave them where they're at?
No, put them forward and leave them forward.
Yeah.
Because the reason why it was put in place was because of, I think, children's school, agriculture, all that kind of stuff. Not relevant anymore. Put them forward and leave them be.
Go on. That's it. I'm on Team Paddy on this one. What do you think, Michael?
I'm okay either way, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on. Get off the fence.
I'm okay. Look, it doesn't matter to me whether it's forward or back. There's nothing that matters to me for most of us anyway, so it makes no difference to me. We're up anyway, so...
Michael is waiting for a deal to decide which side he's going to
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, Miss and Michael, thanks for your very valuable hour this morning anyway. I can't give you that back, but we do appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. It's been good to have you on the programme. Paddy, as always, thank you very much indeed. Have a lovely weekend, please. And last but not least, of course, Seamus McDade. Have a good one, Seamus. Thanks for joining in, and thanks for your views. Very much appreciated.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. That's Paddy Rooney, Seamus McDade, Michael McClafferty. That was our Friday panel, running through some of the old big stories of the day. Lots of you texting in, by the way. Plenty of interest in some of the topics we've been discussing. We'll get to them and so much more besides after we take a break for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
It's Century Cinema's 86th birthday on the 26th of March. To celebrate, all cinema tickets all day will be €5 each. Tickets go on sale from Tuesday the 21st of March at Century Complex and online at centurycinemas.ie. Visit Century Cinemas on Sunday the 26th of March to avail of this exciting offer. Terms and conditions apply.
It's spring, outdoor painting season. Foy & Company are the largest stockists in the Northwest of all the best quality exterior paints. Best for the exterior of your home, fencing, sheds or garden furniture. Foy's qualified in-store paint consultants are on hand to help you pick the right paint for the finish you want and the right colour to suit your home. Top names include the Fleetwood Weatherclad Exterior Collection, Dulux Weather Shield and Colour Trend, to name but a few. Call into the paint department at Foy & Company, Ballybuffet or Letterkenny.
To
There's a big freeze on the way, and it's good news for anyone thinking about changing their home energy. Because Calar are putting their prices on ice with a 2-year price freeze when you switch to Calar LPG. A cleaner alternative to oil, Calar Gas is ideal for cooking, hot water, and heating your home. So, switch today at calargas.ie, and very soon the only thing feeling the chill will be your bill. Terms and conditions apply.
Not long till our trip to Ards and North Down.
I can't wait to dust off the golf clubs.
Or maybe I get some R&R in the spa.
We could book in some paddleboarding.
Or maybe kayaking this time. The kids would love that.
There's loads of great options for dinner and drinks.
The main question is, what do we do first?
Create moments to remember. Find great value breaks at visitArdsandNorthdown.com/offers.
Good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come. Highland Radio's long-awaited concert featuring Daniel O'Donnell and special guests will take place on Tuesday the 28th of March in the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. All you need is your previously issued ticket or a copy of your online booking confirmation for entry. Doors will open at 7 p.m. on the night, and we're so looking forward to seeing you there. Please contact Highland Radio with any inquiries on 074 91 25,000.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The joint UK-EU body overseeing Brexit meets today to ratify the legal changes brought about by the Windsor Framework. EC Vice President Maros Sefcovic will meet with the Northern Secretary Chris Heaton-Harris and the UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly in London as part of that EU-UK joint committee. DUP leader Geoffrey Donaldson says he's not a quitter and won't give up in his campaign for an improved deal. Well, Sinn Féin's Vice President Michelle O'Neill says the DUP is punishing the people of Northern Ireland.
The Secretary of State needs to be very focused on these issues. I know that all the sectors are making noise, but this is politics. This is where we should be. You're elected to take these policy decisions. So I encourage the DUP to join with the rest of us and actually try to tackle these issues, to take them head on. Otherwise, the public continue to be punished by their actions.
Meanwhile, the Northern Secretary is warning of tough economic decisions ahead, and Chris Heaton-Harris says those decisions should be made by local politicians at Stormont rather than be imposed by Westminster.
I do not want to be in a position where I have to set a budget. There are going to be some tough decisions to be taken, and they should be taken by locally elected, democratically elected people for the people they represent.
2 people arrested last night in relation to the Kerry baby's cold case remain in Garda custody this morning. The newborn baby, who was named John, was found with multiple stab wounds on White Strand Beach in Cahersiveen almost 40 years ago. An extensive investigation has been ongoing into the murder since 2018 by Gardaí in the Kerry division. That led to the arrest of a man in his 60s and a woman in her 50s in Munster last night. They're being held at Garda stations in Listowel and Castle Island. Sunday Times columnist Brenda Power says DNA profiling has led to a breakthrough in the case.
When they exhumed the baby and got DNA samples, they then approached a small but significant cohort of, I think, largely women to give DNA samples. So if there was a small but significant cohort almost 40 years on, you'd have to ask, how did this group of people escape proper scrutiny if we are on the right track?
A Donegal deputy has warned that politicising policing is not the way forward. Deputy Thomas Pringle was speaking as the second stage of the Policing, Security and Community Safety Bill 2023 came before the Dáil last evening. He believes there needs to be more oversight and accountability. Deputy Pringle fears the current bill represents a step backwards rather than forwards.
We know that following numerous scandals, key oversight and governance functions were moved from the Minister to the Policing Authority. However, this legislation looks to move these to a board that will be internal to Garda Síochána. This is even less independent than before these scandals, and it reflects the government's intention to repoliticise policing. We've seen, and particularly in my own county in Donegal, investigations that took place there, where the only concern of the state and the bodies was to ensure that the perception only stayed in Donegal, that these things all happened up there, where we knew that they were all happening across the board.
People who emigrated from Ireland and those who belong to minority groups are among the targets of a new Garda recruitment campaign that kicks off this morning. Major efforts are underway to recruit 1,000 new Gardaí and have them trained up by the end of the year. The theme of the campaign is "It can be a tough job, but it's a job worth doing." New measures to help those applying include early advice on the fitness test, a buddy system, earlier vetting and online engagement with candidates. A Donegal senator is calling for a national debate on the provision of facilities for children with disabilities in all playgrounds and parks across the country. Senator Eileen Flynn, who sits on the Oireachtas Disability Matters Committee, told the Seanad there are some excellent facilities in Dublin, but that needs to be replicated in rural areas.
I live in rural Ireland, in Ardra, in County Donegal, and we have a lovely playground, and it's well invested, and you know the council has done a good job with it. Unfortunately, there's no play space or even a swing for a disabled child or a child who is autistic, and it's a conversation that I think we all need to be having.
And the Irish Cancer Society's biggest fundraiser is back in full bloom this year with the aim of raising €4 million. Daffodil Day first launched in 1988. It's now responsible for raising around 20% of the charity's income. Volunteers are out in force across the country. Avril Power is Chief Executive of the Irish Cancer Society. She says there is increased demand for many of its services.
The cost of living crisis and delayed cancer diagnosis mean that more people than ever need our help this year. We really want to be there for everyone who needs us with our free nursing services, our counselling, our financial advice service, our free transport.
Weather forecast and Met Éireann tell us today will be windy with fresh to strong and gusty southwest winds, outbreaks of showery rain with heavy falls at times, brief lighter periods as well, a chance of some hail or lightning in heavy downpours later today, top temperatures of 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock this morning, but for now, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 24th of March. The death has taken place of Jerry Campbell, Moss Road, Carndonagh. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has occurred of Anne Mead, the Diamond, Lifford, reposing at her late residence from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock this evening, and again tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m, followed by removal to St Patrick's Church, Murlough, arriving at 5:30. Funeral Mass on Sunday morning at 11, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to a charity of your choice, care of Kennedy Undertakers. The death has taken place of Sheila Kelly, née Boner, Solihull, England, formerly of Leffen, Burtonport. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Margaret Midlin, née McNulty, Fintown. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Requiem Mass today at 12 noon in St Columkille's Chapel, Fintown, with burial afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family time, please, before the funeral. And the death has occurred of Noreen McHugh, Laconnell, Ardra. Funeral from McCabe's funeral premises this morning at 20 to 11, going to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, for funeral mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. McCabe's funeral premises is private, please, before the funeral. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Like cracking Easter offers from Aldi? Fresh hot cross buns in store now, and from 23rd of March, save 20%, only 99cent while stocks last. Medium Easter eggs, including Cadbury mini eggs and buttons, save 33%, only 99cent. And from 23rd of March, save up to 57% on this week's Super 6 fresh fruit and veg offers. Turnips and mange too, only 49cent, which saves even more of your Easter bunny money. Nah, I don't like it like that. I love it. Aldi, every day amazing.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you've just joined us. Stay tuned because coming up after 11 o'clock, there's lots going on actually. Michael and Fanula return to talk That's Entertainment with us. Also, we're going to be giving away €1,000 in cash plus a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings with Atlantic Travel. How do I say this? If you are going to enter the competition, this morning is a really good time to enter. And if you want to be in with a chance to win that €10,000 plus €5,000 spending money, €10,000 travel voucher plus €5,000 spending money at the start of April, enter this morning because you are in with a really, really good chance to win not only the €1,000 plus the Celebrity Cruise Bookings €1,000 voucher, but also, of course, then you go on to be in the draw. So what are we doing here? We have a holiday of a lifetime. You can win it with Highland Radio. Thanks to our friends, or in association, with our friends at Atlantic Travel, we are giving you the chance to win a €10,000 travel voucher. Now, you can use that for multiple trips, one holiday of a lifetime. You can dip in and out of it until it's exhausted. That is yours. You'll also win €5,000 in spending money. The winner of that competition will be announced on the 7th, Friday, April the 7th, right? Now, this morning, for those of you that enter early, we are having a draw at around about 11:45 for a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings with Atlantic Travel plus €1,000 in cash. So if you're going to be entering the big draw, please enter this little draw. It's early on in the competition. Your odds are really, really quite good. Now, a ticket is €10. You can get 6 for 50 or 10 for 80. It's up to you what you want to do or how much money you have at your disposal. Completely up to you. No pressure in that regard. You can go onto our website right now and buy your tickets really simply and really securely. There's a very simple question to answer. Then it's 1 ticket for a tenner, 6 for 50, 10 for 80. If you want to call us, we can hopefully get you sorted by giving us a call on 07491 25,000. We can take your payment over the telephone. But you have just over an hour to be in with a chance to win a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings with Atlantic Travel, plus €1,000 cash for you to spend this weekend if you want. It's yours. Okay, so to be in with a chance of winning in both draws, please get your tickets in the next hour and 20 minutes, because then we do have to temporarily pause the lines until such time as we pick out the winner at 11:45. But just to remind you one more time what you're winning, and it's early on in the competition, what you could win today is a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings with Atlantic Travel, plus €1,000 in cold, hard cash. You will also automatically, of course, still be in the draw for that €10,000 travel voucher and €5,000 cash, which will be given away at the start of April. So get onto the website, highlandradio.com, get your tickets. It could be you winning in a little over an hour and a half. And you'll be in both draws. That's the important element of it. And as I say, because we're early in this competition, chance is really, really good to win that €1,000 voucher for a cruise and €1,000 in cold, hard cash. All right, I just wanted to give you a good heads up on that if it's something that you want to get involved with. Right, let's read some of your comments as we head towards our next item on the programme. This is, for me, the most important part of the programme. It's what you think out there, wherever you're listening to us or watching us this morning. Leo Varadkar is overstepping his mandate, saying and doing what he does. History repeating itself. War is futile. The innocent suffer and die. Wise up Ireland, try and get in and broker peace to save lives. Where's the so-called Green Brigade? Not worried about the pollution caused by bombs, warplanes and all weapons of war. We're leading the world to mass destruction. God help us all, they say. Leo Varadkar said yesterday, we will stop Putin. We are neutral. I'm disgusted. We are proud to be neutral and we don't want our children dying in a war that's not ours to fight. What do you see? I mean, that's the concern, isn't it? That this is a step towards a European army, effectively, that would fight. Another caller says, if America gets involved, we'll be involved, as Shannon Airport is their stopover. And listen, I mean, the Americans are up to the oxters in this war. They are fighting Russia in Ukraine. Now, they are not on fighting it with their service people, their servicemen and women. They are fighting it with their weapons, and they're fighting it with their money. America is involved in this war, but I do understand what you're saying in terms of Shannon stopover if they start moving troops. Another caller says, this is why we voted no on the Lisbon Treaty. We're being forced into becoming a target. The Irish people don't want this. That's why they won't give us a referendum on the issue. They know what the people think already, so they are ignoring us. And I mean, like, let's just hypothesize, right? What is, say, for instance, Russia is using Ukraine to secure Ukraine as a launch pad for something. And, no one is taking Ukraine on in Ukraine. Could the same happen in Ireland? Could it happen in Ireland, theoretically speaking? I mean, obviously, there's the membership of different associations and what have you, but theoretically, it would be a good launch pad, wouldn't it? Another caller says it's NATO war. They started it. If President Trump was still in power, there would not be any of this nonsense going on. I'm not quite sure about that. Vladimir Putin's his own person, and he has a plan, and he's had a plan for quite some time. And the West has had their plan to try and stop his plan, and so on and so forth, and yet here we are. Another caller says, why doesn't Ireland keep out of this Waterloo I beg your pardon. Why doesn't Ireland keep out of this war? Too small a country to be getting involved, only drawing attention to ourselves. On to housing. 90% of TDs are landlords, and that's why there is no interest in changing anything in the system. It's not 90%. I think it's around about 35 out of the 168, 9 odd. So it's not 90%. It's a significant proportion, but it's less than, I think, what would it be, about 18, 15%? But then many of them might be renters as well. A caller says, I have a three-bedroomed house in the Fentown area, which I offered to the council, and they told me no one was looking for accommodation in that area. Surely if you're in need of a home, it shouldn't matter where it is. It's an interesting one. I know other people that have offered the council accommodation. Very little seems to come of it. And yet we're being told we're in this desperate, dire situation. It doesn't make sense to me. Another caller says, Leo needs to close his mouth. We're not at war. We don't want to be at war. If Leo wants to go fight, let him go. Another, I love how all we seem to hear now is the normalisation of taking property off people. We'll hear all of these big landlords hoarding property and charging massive rents, but we must remember the majority is small family homes, etc. People will think they're dealing with corrupt landlords, but really it's the small man. When you are elected, you represent the entire country, not just the area you are in, says this listener. TDs are supposed to be looking after the entire country and not just their self-interests. Another, it appears this government is not answerable to anyone. Some of the decisions they have made are just not acceptable, but they know there is no accountability. Another, taxing a spare room in your home if you rent it out. What next? Bring on an election the country's in for some shake-up. I'm just saying that could be next. At the moment, you get tax breaks for renting your room. Who's to say you won't get punished for having spare rooms? You know, that if there is that level of reach into how you can control the property market through controlling private property, could it ever be ruled out? I don't think it could ever be ruled out. A caller says, any short-term solution the government ever comes up with will never be short-term. Sadly, this is all very convenient. Housing disaster just in time for the housing referendum, hoping to delimit the right to private property. See, this is what I don't understand, right? I understand... I don't believe this is actually an opposition. This whole thing about, I must dig it out, about a referendum on the right to private property, because unless I'm very much mistaken, this was a proposal from an opposition, a small opposition party, yet it's been framed as a government move. Now, unless something has changed drastically since I read up on this, it's being spread around on the internet as a government proposal. But my understanding is, I think it might have been people before profit they're actually proposing this. But I'll check that out. But anyway, there's already a great deal of government involvement in private property anyway. Maybe you're talking about the principal private residence. But I'll read this text in full, and then I'll get some clarification on who is proposing and the likelihood of a referendum. A caller says, any short-term solution the government ever comes up with will never be short-term. Sadly, this is all very convenient. Housing disaster just in time for the housing referendum, hoping to delimit the right to private property. Just think about it. Housing shortage, huge rental prices, massive influx of people. The perfect storm on the housing policy has suited property developers and not the small business person building local, or even the stopping local councils, the local council stopping people building on local property. Another, can anyone answer if The government stated, the motion on extending the eviction ban had no standing, as it was only a motion. Why then did they have to buy independence? Well, presumably how it might look if it was a defeat for government on such a matter, on a opposition on an opposition proposal, because the vote eventually was on a government amended motion, wasn't it? Morning, Greg. Why don't the council start buying up properties in Donegal? Donegal town have a lot of potential development opportunities in the towns itself. I think that's what the government want them to do. Where are they going to get the money? Are they funded to do it? Do they have the staff? Why? And also, what does that do for the property market? Does it send house prices skyrocketing? Do they stay as they are, or do they drop? I don't know. Why is no one talking about the derelict houses? A property tax on these derelict houses. There are 5 within walking distance from my house, says a listener. It shouldn't make a difference if someone refuses a house. If it doesn't suit them, someone else will take it. I don't see the harm, okay? And that's the point Michael McClafferty was making. I respect that. How would overtaxing Airbnb help our tourism? That is the biggest employer in Donegal, and many people rent holiday homes as their only income. As a disabled person unable to work, I'm hoping to rent to tourists. I don't want to long-term rent, as I would have all sorts of problems. Greg, when you elect 27 TDs who are landlords, do you expect them to want to reduce their income when they can do what they are doing, preserving high rents and now being able to make human beings, real children, babies, older people and the most vulnerable live on the streets? Another, the only solution is the government needs to start building, even if it's prefab homes, but councils won't allow planning for lots of them. Local authority building on government land is the only way, but it takes profit away from developers and reduces house prices and rents, which affects the government's buddies. And on they come. They continue to come in. Thank you very much for it. Really appreciated. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Right, okay, there is a new book out from a leading psychotherapist, Stella O'Malley, and it is entitled What Your Teen is Trying to Tell You. I think there's times that anyone with children might ask themselves that question. That's if they speak at all, but that in and of itself may be an indication of something. Any questions about your teens that we could help you with? Stella's going to be joining us after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 24th of March. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S20. It's game number 12. The numbers are 40, 41, 48, 71, 68, 90, 51, 39, 44, and finally 13. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
If you're getting married, the in-house design team at BizPrint can get all your wedding stationery and signage needs customised to your requirements. Just visit weddinginvites.ie or call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
We have the fit of suit you want. We have the size of suit you need. We have loads of suits to choose from. We have suits. We are the Suit Bar. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at
22, just about to turn 23 minutes past 10. Now, onto the show is the author of What Your Teen is Trying to Tell You. It's Stella O'Malley. And She is a leading psychotherapist. Thanks so much for joining us, Stella. Great to have you on the programme.
Thank you.
And it's an interesting book because I think the overwhelming majority of parents and guardians, grandparents, aunts and uncles, whomever, who might have a role in the raising of a child, and as they hit the teenage years, might often ask themselves, what is that teen trying to tell you? And sometimes they maybe are telling you by not saying anything at all. It's a tough old age, and I suppose it can be tough to deal with too, and to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to be a teenager these days. An awful lot of childhood is very magical and it's very pleasant, and children are told their dreams will come true, and if they just try hard enough they'll win. And then they reach adolescence and they get a kind of a very sharp shock of reality when they realize actually it's much harder than that. Life is very difficult and it's often unfair, and you can try very hard and still lose. And so I think that dawning of realization hits them very hard.
Is it more difficult now than before? Because, we're all talking about what we should be telling our teenagers, what we shouldn't be telling them, how we should be guiding them or not letting them decide what they want to be. I welcomed when I was a young person, a hand on my shoulder advising me where I need to go or should go, and the realities of life and the pitfalls of life. It seems now the policy is that just let them at it, let them be what they want to be, let them feel what they want to feel. But it's not really working, given recent statistics in terms of mental health and what have you. Are we sure, as a society, we are giving them the right? We're raising them and allowing them to mature in the right sort of space as a society?
I don't think we're doing very well with adolescents at the moment. There's an awful lot of mental health problems, and they do need guidance. They do need the kind of the wise words, and they're not getting them. There's been an awful lot of disempowerment of parents, and there's been an awful lot of impact from social media. And it's as a result, an awful lot of teenagers feel anxious and not sure of themselves. And I don't think we're getting it right. I do think we need to have more authority. Now, I'm not saying be strict disciplinarians, but certainly it feels a bit chaotic, and as if they're leading the way and they're very unsure of themselves. Even though they seem cocky, they're very unsure of themselves. It's a very scary and burdensome thing to be told you're in charge when you're a teenager.
And it also is very dependent on which teenager you're talking of, and what their behaviour and how they speak really is reflecting what's going on within them. Yeah,
they say about a third of teenagers sail through, about a third have choppy enough times, but ultimately they're okay, and about a third have a really, really rough time. And, and most mental health issues emerge first during adolescence. So some of those are going to be very serious problems.
Just going early on, I mean, there was a story recently, and I'm not a shock jock, by the way, and you might not be familiar with the show, but just so that's not really my style, right? But there was a recent high-profile case, of course, and this is about much younger than teenage years, but I think it might set a tone for the rest of someone's life. That we had a high-profile politician and his partner recently had a child. They didn't assign it a gender. They gave it a gender-neutral name with the view that it will discover as it matures what it wants to be. It doesn't want to be. I've found it quite insulting as a man, and maybe some as a woman. This is the only part of it whereby having an assigned gender is a disadvantage. I personally don't believe that's the case. I think everyone's entitled to feel what they want to feel, but I don't want to get into a space where actually it's hold you back because you happen to be born and identified from birth as a male. But anyway, be that as it may, would you have a concern as a psychotherapist putting that much pressure, or is it seen as pressure or weight on a child to sort of even find out something as fundamental as that through the journey of life from a young age? I mean, if we're starting that with babies and toddlers, and it kind of seemingly now continues into teenage years, it just sounds to me like it puts an awful lot of pressure on a child that simply does not know.
I think you're right. I think we've moved from being child-centred to child-led, and I think that's actually a very heavy burden on the child's shoulders. One of the kind of great gifts of childhood and adolescence is the freedom not to have these burdens on you, that the adults are in charge and the adults are making decisions. For example, where we live, what school we go to. And child and the teenager, they might have input. Certainly, you can listen to what they're saying, but the idea that they are actually making the definitive decision is too much of a burden on their shoulders. It weighs heavily, and like most kids will take it and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'll have this. I love being in charge," but are immature, so they think it's great. But sure, that's the entire concept of being a child. Just because you want to be in charge doesn't mean you get to be in charge. And the adults should be shouldering the responsibility of leading the way and offering guidance. And I agree with you. I think you can be anything as a boy and you can be anything as a girl. And I don't think you need to change anything about that, other than society maybe needs to free us up so that, boys could wear dresses or whatever. That we don't need to play around with pronouns to do that. We have the freedom to live as we wish.
Like I'm thinking of the women's Six Nations team lining up this weekend. Or Katie Taylor is going right. So I was disadvantaged right from the get-go. Do you know what I mean? I'm not having a go at that. Everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. I'm not in any way encroaching on in that. Okay, but there's a normalisation, or at least an attempt to normalise certain stuff. My only interest in it doesn't matter for me anymore is children, and I just want to make sure that whatever we are doing is best for children of all ages, up until the age of 17 or 18, that we are tooling and equipping them for half the awful realities of life that hit you like a wrecking ball when you go to third level or even into big school. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't... it just feels like a space where it's supposed to be about protecting and nurturing children, but it seems we're moving away from that. We're relinquishing that responsibility almost.
Under a cloak of I'm just listening to the child, but the freedom of being a child is the freedom to be able to make mistakes and for the adults to step in for the more serious kind of decisions.
Because the funny thing, the whole thing, I'm holding a book here, which we're going to talk about now, which is educating big hairy adults, right, on how to look after the teenagers, and yet there are some subscribing saying that children should be able to do it all themselves. You know what I mean? Yet we need this book. We need this book for the adults, for the grown-ups. Do you know what I mean? So let's get to the book, Stella, because it's a tough one. Do you know what I mean? Dealing with teenagers, and I find I find like I'm being influenced by stuff now. So I want to help. I want to be disciplined. I want to be disciplined with teenagers and all, but I'm so afraid now to say the wrong thing in case it damages in their mental health, and then I feel like I need to keep checking the bedroom door to make sure everything's in there. Like, I think we're full of fear and disempowerment now as adults that we might be doing them harm, or they might harm themselves if we do or say the wrong thing or are too strict. Does this book help us with working all that out?
Yeah, I actually talk specifically about that exact point in the book, which is that an awful lot of parents feel frozen in the face of their child or their teenager's mental distress because there's been such heavy messages about mental health that once the teenager's in distress, parents are afraid they can fold like paper. They're afraid to hold authority because they're like, oh, they'll have mental health issues. And that's a very unfortunate byproduct of the mental health kind of industry that has left parents kind of disempowered and afraid to upset their kid, when actually, between 10 and 20, children are pushing boundaries and parents are holding boundaries. That's what should be happening. There should be a lot of conflict because they're pushing against them and we're holding the authority. And if we're afraid of our children's tears and we're afraid of our children's distress, we're not going to give them the authority that they need. Now, I know this is complicated because I know, obviously, mental health is a huge issue. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm very, very interested in well-being. But I think it's a very unfortunate new development that so many parents are afraid of upsetting their kid. And so they're often asking me, how do we... For example, parents that I work with might say, how do I hold this line without having a fight? And I'm like, oh no, you're going to have a fight. There's going to be many fights. And they're slightly horrified by that because they think they'll be able to do it without a fight. And I'm like, I'm not convinced you will. Now, it doesn't have to be a rip-roaring brawl, but there will be, rolled eyes, slammed doors, as there has been for thousands of years.
And you will see in the wild, you'll see a tiger cub at some point snap at the mother.
Yeah.
and it will have to be reprimanded for it. And then, you know what I mean? There's a lot of this that we're born with. It's within us. It's not just humans, it's animals, right? So I think, the book starts off chapter 1, understanding the teenage minds. They're half adult, half child. Why are they irrational? What's going on in their head? That introduces us really to a better understanding of, because we can forget, can't we? And we can look back with rose tinted glasses, what it's like to be a teenager, how the mind is developing, what's happening there. And then you move on to connecting and communicating with your teen, which is, again, some people really, really struggle with that. It can be difficult because some parents want to be their children's best friends, you know, and I'm not really quite sure that works very well, because then when it comes to saying you can't do this or you can't do that, it's all very complicated. So I think going through those processes there maybe can help you find the right balance through those two chapters.
Yeah, I think, you know, if a child is lucky enough to have parents, that they are the only, those two parents are the only two parents in the world of that child. It's a very, very special relationship. You can have 1,000 friends. You can only really have two parents. And so it's really, really important that it's treasured and appreciated for its special role. And that special role is to give long-term guidance and to give authority. But yeah, that first chapter talks about the kind of, if you're aware of the biology or the neuroscience of the teenage brain, you realize they're literally playing with half a deck compared to adults. Their brain isn't fully formed, and it won't be fully formed until they're in their kind of early 20s. So it's like a kind of a snow globe. It's all full of chaos, and it's, you know, and it will settle, but it hasn't settled. And some parts of the brain, of the teenage brain, like the emotional part, is very overdeveloped, and the wise, reasonable, genuine, it's actually neuroscience, isn't yet developed. So their ability to be wise and reasonable is not there. They don't have it yet. And they will have it. It'll come. But right now they're filled with emotion and certainty, and we adults need to just accept that is who they are. It's almost like we accept the toddlers have to go through developmental tasks, like learning how to, you know, ride a bike or, you know, tie their laces, whatever they're doing. Then in teenage years, they also have developmental tasks, such as learning how to cope with distress, learning how to manage difficult relationships, learning how to regulate their emotions. All those tasks need to be kind of tackled and also kind of overcome to become a fully functioning adult. And it takes some time. And I think we forget that they have developmental milestones just like a child. It's just they're more complicated ones. So I go through that in the book.
Yeah. And dealing with the common issues, of course, like anxiety, obsession with technology, body confidence too, I think. How do you best support and how do you articulate that support? You know, these are. I think every every teenager is going to come across some of those issues through their teenage years, and we're empowered then, presumably, to best support and help them and understand them.
Yeah, I think never before has there been so much emphasis on looks. And teenagers have kind of always been vain because their bodies are changing so fast, and, you know, the hormones are coming in. But these days, the emphasis on looks is just phenomenal. And, you know, all the pictures, all the selfies, all the kind of various different aspects of their looks, it's really, really a difficult challenge for teenagers to navigate. Constant emphasis on your looks and pictures and things like that.
What I think is also an interesting one here is, because this is almost like the flip side, why doesn't my teen want to grow up? I kind of got a little chuckle when I read that, because some teenagers they're dreading starting 17 or 18, and presumably that forms part of this too, this chapter.
It is. It's a real issue. It's more of an issue than it has been before. Usually, teenagers do want to grow up. When I say usually, in previous generations, teenagers wanted to grow up because they'd get more freedom. There was very definite benefits to growing up. An awful lot of teenagers these days, they don't want to grow up. They want to remain childlike. Growing up feels full of admin, full of burdens, and not really much fun. And so we adults, we kind of owe it to children to sell adulthood adulthood to them so that they do want to grow up, because it's a terrible thing that there's a kind of concept called failure to launch, where there's an awful lot of people in their 20s, they haven't moved out of their childhood home, they're still in their childhood bedroom, they're not interested in growing up, they're not interested in getting a job, and their hearts are scalded. They don't know what to do about these kids. So it's a very serious issue. This is the first generation of children that can't expect to have as much wealth as their parents, and they don't expect to have houses as kind of as wealthy as their parents. It's a huge new development that has never happened before, because every other generation until now presumed that they would do better than their parents. They didn't always, but they presumed that they would. And this generation don't think that. And that's strange.
Just in relation to the book, like I don't want to frame it incorrectly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, of course. I don't see this as a book that someone necessarily might read between, in the last week of someone in their 12th year and then put it on eBay, right? The way it seems to be set up to me is that the various issues are covered in as many or as few new words that are required. So in other words, if a parent has this on a bookshelf and they're concerned that someone's spending too much time in front of the mirror or on a phone, or are they anxious, or are they just feeling anxious? Do they have anxiety, or are they in an anxious moment? That you can jump to that section and just feel a bit empowered with some words that maybe actually just affirm what you're already feeling. Yeah,
the idea of the book, you've got it right, is to dip in and dip out as the issues. Now, you could read it through if you were so inclined, but it would be certainly written so that you can dip into the specific issues that's on your mind about your teenager. Because I think parents do feel disempowered, and they'll feel more settled when they read something. Okay, I've got this. I can handle this. I don't have to charge off to the professionals. It's just a few words around any given topic to give a kind of psychological understanding of what might be going on for the teenager. Yeah, and as I say, I might be coming across as enthusiastic. It's just it kind of appeals to me in that I think we have a really important role in helping and guiding our teenagers, and we shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed or whatever out of doing that. There are times in my life when I remember going to my mother, and just for a really brief chat, and I needed what she had to say to me to make me feel better. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have felt like I could do it on my own. Yet modern thinking would probably be for her to say to me, "Look, son, whatever." Do you know what I mean? It's a weird kind of cloak where they're saying basically to the kids and teenagers, "You've got this," and the teenagers are like you. Kind of would like some words of guidance, but I've got it. If TikTok is what life is, if TikTok's my parents, I've got it. Of course I do. But I mean, if the real world, it's not, that isn't the way it is. So I don't got it, because you're not born with this knowledge. You're not born with this decision-making power. You're not born to understand the various things that can happen in your body through, the ages of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. A caller says, my daughter's been diagnosed with non-epileptic attack disorder, pseudo-seizures, finding it so difficult to cope with. Is there any advice on this that you could give, how this parent might be able to deal with their young person? Yeah, I think that young person could be helped in many different ways. Certainly there could be kind of a lot of help around anxiety with that child. I think she would benefit from, maybe going to therapy, but certainly, and I don't charge off to therapy every teenager, but that's quite serious what that kid is confronting. There's a brilliant book, and it's not my book, but it's about exactly those seizures, called It's All in Your Mind. It's by Suzanne O'Sullivan. An amazing book. I really recommend that parent not only buys my book, but buys that one. Okay, then we can get both at a discount. Hey, why not? Listen, come here. I really appreciate your time this morning, obviously, because it's such a complex matter. We can only sort of brush across it, but I hope people get a feel for what we're talking about. The book is What Your Teen is Trying to Tell You. It's by Stella O'Malley. As I say, you could read it. I think maybe definitely read chapters 1 or 2, and then sure you can dip in and out as the inevitable problems arise. Yeah,
My
it's
word,
tricky
no
being a
one's got
teenager.
no one's got a teenager through their teenage years without issues. There's just no doubt about that, and it's normal. It's part of our development, as it is. We can't avoid it. We have to deal with this, and as well, say for instance, a teenager has lost a grandparent that they're very close to. That's really difficult. It can be the first sort of sense of bereavement and what have you. Things like that are covered in the book as well, because we can feel really, what do we do? What do we say? Right, okay, listen, I really appreciate your time this morning. I've enjoyed talking to you and continued success. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely day. Okay, that is leading psychotherapist Stella O'Malley. Any views on anything we were talking about there? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. That's your WhatsApps and texts. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
The Top Line annual spring sale is now on. High-quality hardware, tools and outdoor products for your home or garden projects. Visit your local Top Line store for great products at great prices. Shop our spring sale for 1 week only. Top Line, here to help, happy to advise.
Are you ready to experience something extraordinary? Cultural gems in Croatia, ancient temples in Asia, art in Italy. Anything and everything is possible with Travel Department. Pick a destination and a date and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides and all that planning. For guided group tours to dream destinations, book today at traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Clarins Gift of Beauty promotion is now on McElhenney's. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products, one to be a moisturiser or serum, and receive a choice of 4 free beauty treats and a gorgeous beauty bag. Available until March 25th. 1 gift per customer while stocks last. Gift may vary.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Starting a new chapter can be the most thrilling thing in the world. And the new all-electric Audi Q8 e-tron range marks the start of something even more exciting. Where progress is a matter of character. Where an idea stretches as far as you wish to go with the range to get you there. And where charging times are reduced, freeing you up for even more adventures. Discover the fully electric Audi Q8 e-tron range at your nearest Audi dealer.
At Centra this week, we have great offers like Centra Feshart Extra Lean Steak Mince 330 gram only €3. Kitten Soft Toilet Tissue Family Pack 16 rolls only €10. And in our Italian wine sale, Castel Mondo Ripasso and Il Capolavaro Appassimento €10 each. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy cool sensibly.
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring are 25 years old, and to celebrate, we're offering up to 70% off across all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. And each week, 25 lucky customers will win their order for free. That's right, for free. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, up to 70% off. Birthday sale ends Sunday.
Shop Evolve Clothing for Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Paul & Shark, Gant, and many more casual and streetwear brands. Menswear Superstore, Letterkenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com. 2 floors of fashion, open 7 days.
The one and only Tom Jones is back, and we're going to be there. Join us as Highland Radio hit the road to see the timeless legend as he headlines Belsonic 2023, Friday 16th of June. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast in the 4-star Clayton Hotel Belfast, and your standing ticket to the outdoor event. Contact us today on 074 9125,000 to see Tom Jones at Ormo Park, Belfast, Friday 16th of June.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Lanzarote is back. Check out our new summer flights to Lanzarote with Ryanair starting March 28th. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, let's have a look at that weather forecast for you. Actually, I just have to bring it up for you. I really should have it printed off for me and sitting in front of me, shouldn't I, with a cue card saying, now, Greg. Anyway, today will be windy with fresh to strong and gusty southwest wind, outbreaks of showery rain, with heavy falls at times and brief brighter periods. Chance of hail or lightning in heavy downpours, highest temperatures of 9 or 10 degrees. Now, we were talking earlier on about housing, and I brought up the issue of the last group of stats I saw, that 1/3 of social homes that have been offered are refused. Now, this is not me saying this, I'm quoting the statistics, but in the past there have been councillors that have been interviewed on this programme and in newspapers that have stated that there should be checks and balances in place, that if someone were to refuse a house a certain amount of time, that such and such would have happened. So this is an issue that's been debated in the chamber of the council. Now, we heard from Michael McClafferty, and many agreeing with him, that the house isn't disappearing because someone refuses it. It's still there. Someone will get it, so there's no harm in it. Sinead joins us now. Sinead, where within all of that do you sit in relation to the provision and providing and offering of social housing?
Well, thanks for asking me on first. But yeah, I would pretty much agree with Michael. I don't, the houses are there. The houses are not going, if someone refuses a social housing house, then someone else will take that house. I just wouldn't want to be in a space where we are taking people off of social housing, that's perhaps the people who need it the most. And I was given the example of, well, look, what if that's a single parent? What if that's a single parent with children who their entire support network is in that particular area, and they have no access to cars or or transport or things like that.
The only thing, Sinead, is we do have access to the reasons as to why people refuse social housing, and that's the obvious. I don't think anyone would want anyone to have to uproot and lose that structure. But sometimes people refuse houses because they've got a motorbike and there's nowhere to put it. So, and again, that's probably another extreme example. So I want to avoid that and put it to you like this, Sinead.
Yeah.
Should we then separate those out that refuse it for very real reasons like you've just outlined, compared to someone who refuses it for reasons that perhaps might seem unreasonable? Then would that help to make it a fairer system then? Because that person you talk of might get a house quicker.
But how are we going to police that though, Greg? Who's going to police that? Mm-hmm. Who's going to have the staff to police that? Who's going to be paying for that policing of that? Does for instance, Donegal County Council, do they have the ability to do that? So if we're going to separate out reasons as to why someone refuses house, and I know what's going to happen is that, if you're allowed to refuse a house for a particular reason, everybody's going to say it's for that reason. So that's not going to work. The solution to this is to build social housing. I've been saying it, a lot of us have been saying it for years and years and years. And unfortunately, we've had Fine Gael and been a fall in power, and it hasn't been happening. So that's what it is. They need to build social housing. They need to build social housing in areas where they're needed. And that's going to be the solution to this. Nobody's going to be able to police that. Nobody.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're on the waiting list, you're desperate for housing. We're in a housing crisis. We've got far more people that need houses than houses that are available. Do all those rules that you say still apply in this situation?
What rules do you mean now? In
terms of, it's okay to refuse a house and what have you. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are desperate here. And then, of course, because people may be being fussy, as some might describe it, we've got people that are out of this scheme altogether because they're on really quite low wages, and maybe if people weren't as fussy, the scheme could be widened out. I'm only saying this to tease out the conversation, Sinead. I hope I'm being clear.
Yeah.
But
No,
you know,
you
with
are.
everything that's ongoing, can we afford to be picky? Even if it is maybe moving another 5 miles away from your sister or your auntie or your mother or your dad or your uncle. Do you know what I mean? Or even moving the children to another school. You know, in a crisis, is that excuse enough?
I've seen some of the reasons, that people have given, and my own personal opinion on that is, look, that's not reasonable, right? But if we try to implement a system where people are being refused for, and you're only allowed to refuse for certain reasons, and look, there are many examples of good reasons as to why people should be allowed to, why they have to stay in their own area. The example I gave earlier on, what if that woman, and I know it's not just women, but it's primarily women, suffering from domestic abuse, they've got an abusive partner, they've left them, they need to be within 5 minutes of their family. They need that for their sense of security. Mm-hmm. They need to feel safe. So if we're going to have a system where people are after a certain cutoff point, that's it, you're not allowed to. Are we going to say that those people should be living terrified in fear all the time? Or, is that what we're saying? Yeah. I just don't see how it's workable.
No, I mean, you make a very strong point, Sinead, and really talks to the complexity of the problem that we have. And I don't think anyone would want anyone to be placed in danger or to feel in danger, as you've outlined. I don't think anyone would. All right, Sinead, as you say, we just need more houses in the right place, I suppose. Thanks for your time today.
More houses and more portable houses as well. They need to get their act together.
That does not seem to be a Donegal solution. For some reason.
Well, that's a choice. That's a choice. That's all I'll say. That it is workable. I'm going to go. Thanks,
good
Greg.
Morning, Sinead. Take care of yourself. I appreciate it. Hi, Greg. Totally agree with most of your listeners. Leo Varadkar has no right in making decisions in supporting the war in Ukraine against the wishes of the majority of the Irish people, but we don't know if it's against the wishes of the majority of Irish people. We have not been consulted on this, by the way. That's your view. And then Leo Varadkar's expressing his view. Now, the problem is that the listener that sent this in is not the leader of the government. But anyway, reading on, what I'm saying is I don't like to presume that the majority of the Irish people oppose what Leo Varadkar said either, because I don't think that helps us. I'll read the comment in full. Hi, Greg. Totally agree with most of your listeners. Leo Varadkar has no right in making decisions in supporting the war in Ukraine against the wishes of the majority of the Irish people. We are a neutral, small country. They should be working towards peace. Look what America and Britain did in Iraq. Lied and totally destroyed that country and gave rise to ISIS and the loss of thousands of innocent people and children's lives. NATO and America need to start talking peace for everyone's sake. They would say, though, that if they do not pin back Putin where he's at, that the world as we know it could change. So that's what their argument is. A caller says it's great that the only DUP members publicly opposing the Windsor framework are the ones that carry on getting big money as MPs. If Stormont falls, remind me of union bosses calling strike action while they still get full pay and the workers get nothing when on strike. Another caller says the only way to sort out any crisis in Ireland is for the people to stand together and demand an action immediately. A child can see the current government has no confidence. They're running the country into the ground because they know Sinn Féin are going to be elected next time round. So they're putting the country into red so the next party elected can't do anything. Stand together peacefully, protest and get the current government out. Again, let me just point out too, if you don't mind, that if even in the opinion polls, the current government has 45% of the vote. As things are. And no one should presume that there's going to be a complete wipeout in the next general election, because those percentages actually also don't necessarily relate to seats. So it's just important for absolute balance here that the current government enjoys 45% support-ish there or thereabouts. If you throw in the independents there, you could probably push it towards 45, 46. I don't have the exact stats. But anyway, I think sometimes we presume that no one supports the government, that what the government is, everything they're doing is wrong. That's not the case. Lots of people, as I say, almost half the population actually, really, when you look at it, support this current coalition. So that shouldn't be ignored, and nothing should be presumed either, I don't think.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Trinity College Dublin has been inspiring generations for over 400 years. With a reputation for excellence in education, research and innovation, we offer a wide range of postgraduate programs at master's, diploma and certificate level. Join us at our postgraduate virtual open evening on Tuesday the 28th of March from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Meet our world-leading academics, students and admission teams and be inspired to take the next step in your career. Register your interest at tcd.ie.
I'm Lorraine Keane, and I hate feeling tired and hormonal. Yet that's exactly how I felt when my perimenopause started in my late 30s. For nutritional support, I chose Irish supplement Clean Marine Menamin. Why? Because Menamin contains omega-3, vitamin D, and also vitamin B6, which contributes to the regulation of hormonal activity and helps reduce tiredness. All in just 2 capsules a day. Ask for Menamin at health stores and pharmacies, or learn more at cleanmarine.ie. I'm glad I did.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
We at Highland Radio love Irish music, and we want to show our support. Throughout Irish Music Month this March, in partnership with Hot Press magazine, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians, artists and bands who make every party, every drive home and every day magic. That's right. To celebrate Irish Music Month on Highland Radio, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts and Irish music merch. Irish musicians have shown that they are right up there with the best in the world, so let's support them by buying Irish. Proudly supported by Highland Radio, Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Yes, indeed, and we're with you for another hour. But before that, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Detectives from the PSNI's Terrorism Investigation Unit are conducting a search in the Letterkenny Road area of Derry as part of an ongoing investigation into new IRA activity. They say the planned search is being conducted with support from local police and officers from the Tactical Support Group. Police say they'll continue to use all tools at their disposal to reduce the threat posed by violent dissident Republicans, and they're urging anyone with information or concerns to contact them. HICWA has published reports on 3 nursing homes in Donegal this morning with a number of non-compliances noted. The reports noted all residents were happy in the 3 centres. However, 6 non-compliances were noted in both Brindley Manor and Harbour Lights nursing homes, while 1 non-compliance was noted at the Lake House nursing home. A Donegal deputy is warning that politicised policing is not the way forward. Deputy Thomas Pringle was speaking on the second stage of the Policing, Security and Community Safety Bill 2023. It came before the Dáil last night. He said there needs to be more oversight and accountability. He fears under the new bill there'll actually be less. After 30 years, an investigation into the disappearance of Annie McCarrick has been upgraded to a full murder inquiry. And staying with cold cases, 2 people arrested last night in relation to the Kerry babies case remain in Garda custody this morning. The newborn baby, named John, was found with multiple stab wounds on White Strand Beach in Cahir almost 40 years ago. An intensive investigation has been ongoing into the murder since 2018 by Gardaí in the Kerry division. And An Garda Síochána has launched a recruitment campaign to add 1,000 new members this year. The Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors recently said this campaign would be difficult. It's warned that being a Garda now is different to how it was in the past, saying policing has become overly bureaucratic. The headlines, back with headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Michael and Fanula are on the way next.
Yeah, we're good mates, yeah. Look, I'm always there for him, 100%, through thick and thin. And sure, he likes having me around. Anytime he's going out, I'll get the shout, you know? And someday, I'll probably kill him.
Smoking isn't the friend you think it is. Quit for 28 days and start taking back control. Find out how at quit.ie or free phone 1800 201 203 from the HSE.
Yes, indeed, it is time for That's Entertainment. And a little later on, by the way, we will be giving one of you €1,000 in cash and also a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise booking. That draw is going to take place around about 11:45. You've got about 27 minutes to buy your tickets. And as I say, this is early in the competition. So you've really good chances if you enter in winning this morning's prize. And don't forget, too, that's only a bonus. The real draw, let me put it like that, is €10,000 travel voucher to use as you wish, wherever you want. It could be numerous short-haul type holidays. It could be one big one. You'll have access to that plus €5,000 spending money. Although, as I said yesterday, that for me would be a new bathroom, and I would just have the €10,000 voucher. It's all in association with Atlantic Travel. But if you want to be in with a really good chance of winning that €1,000 cash today and a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings with Atlantic Travel, go on to the website highlandradio.com and buy your tickets. The most you'll pay is €10, so if you can afford that, away you go. But you can get better value if you want to group in with other people. 6 for $50 or buy them for other people. 6 for $50, they're cheaper still if you buy 10 for $80. Now, if it's fully safe, secure and quick on the website, but if you want to buy your ticket in person, call into us here at Highland Radio, or if you want to call us on 07491 25,000, we will hook you up. But you've got to 26 minutes now to be in the €1,000 cash draw and also that €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings. All right, that's one ticket wins both, Fionnuala, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
No, one ticket wins both, so it's an exciting.
Your mics are all crooked and whatever, but anyway, it's fine.
Know.
It doesn't
Well,
matter.
here we go.
Yeah, and your logo's pointed the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. It feels like ages since we've sat down together. Perhaps
I know
it isn't.
we haven't even talked about what we would do with the draw, and usually by now we've,
Well, I was more on about this. That's entertainment.
I know, but I'm just saying the draw's been on for a few weeks. Like that's how long it's been since we've actually
well,
talked.
last Friday was Good Friday, wasn't it?
That's how long was Easter.
Paddy's Day.
Jeez, we're as bad as each other.
I know.
You said Good Friday, I said Easter.
Come here.
Do I get a prize for saying Paddy's Day?
No, fair enough.
I started watching Ted Lasso, right? And
from the beginning.
Yeah, well, we're hardly going to start at the end and work my way back.
I wasn't sure you had seen season 1.
I haven't. Well, I listen to everything you say. I know what you've watched and what you don't watch. And I recall, I recall throughout the whole conversations about this from you, and I've heard it from others, that you don't have to know anything about football to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. I think knowing something about football and watching it is a distinct disadvantage. But I know it's not a documentary. I haven't laughed once yet, and I'm halfway through season 2. Now, I've sort of got a, into myself, but I have not laughed.
Wow.
Is there something wrong with me, Fionnuala?
Yes.
I mean, something other than the obvious things. Something additional.
I don't really want to break it to your loved ones, but you may be dead inside.
Yeah, there's no soul, heart, no soul there.
You may be a sociopath, but
May? I think that's generous.
But to be honest, with the Ted Lasso, I have that.
You love it, love it, love it.
Oh my God, I've seen it numerous times. I don't tell you how often I've seen it. I throw it on all the time. If I just want to watch something, there's 2 or 3 of them, and I consider they're kind of like the way Pride and Prejudice is that book you go to. Right. It's like that little TV thing that you go to just to get the warm and fuzzies from. But when you say laugh out loud, I don't know how often I laughed, out loud to myself in the house. But it does give you the warm and fuzzies. Do you not feel an affection or a connection to the characters? Plus I
yeah, but it has still not been explained really this far in as to why he is doing what he's doing. right? Why he was hired. I mean, obviously he was hired to destroy the club, right?
Yeah.
That's established very early on. But what he's doing to sort of influence how the team progresses or not in any way, shape or form. Now, as I say, maybe it's not a football show, right? It's not a football show. And then this constant pointing out the constant obvious differences between words that are used in America versus here, phrases that are used.
Well,
in
that's
America.
just for the joke for America,
yeah,
like
but
the
it's
boot.
all but it's multiple times.
Oh yeah,
and it's the little metaphors too, if that's what they're called. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying it, right? But I was just expecting something that I would just install as one of my go-tos or one of my favourite shows.
But is that one of those situations where people, not just yourself, but people fall into a thing where the expectations they have are unreachable? You can't possibly... It's like the last episode of Lost, the last episode of Game of Thrones, the last episode of...
Am I not clever enough to filter?
I don't know if you are, Greg. I mean, you're putting me in and all. Do I have to answer that question on air?
If you don't like Ted Lasso at all, I'm kind of...
No, I did. I know I did enjoy it, and I kept through it, and I'm going to go back to it. Don't get me wrong.
I know.
But like when you compare it to Murders in the Buildings, for instance, which is funny and clever, and
I know, but this is a completely different kind of show. I mean, this is yes.
I don't know if it is.
I don't think
it is. No, I don't. I think they're very similar. Yeah,
I think they are similar.
To me, I think of them as being completely different. You know what I mean? One is really...
This is Fluda's hands on
one is a longer title.
No.
One is a much longer title. I mean, there's
one has got
more words.
One has lots of murders, one does not.
One does not have any murders.
No, because Murders in the Building is, there's like nearly a story arc, as in there's a particular thing that's happening over the course of this. Ted Lasso was kind of set up. As soon as it started, then everybody knew it was going to be 3 series. That's what it was announced. It was a 3-story. So you knew it was a 3-story arc. But there's not really a particular story as such to it.
I think there is. Yeah, there is.
It's the emotion, the
yes,
relationship.
It's more about the people. Do you know what I mean? As in, there's no, if you go Murders in the Building. Murders in the Building it starts off.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not giving anything away.
There's a murder in the building.
It's in the name. There's a murder in the building, and then
alert.
the whole episode then is about how did that happen?
Okay, but let me put it this.
But Murders is about the people.
Ted Lasso is more about the journey that the different characters are on.
Yes, but no, there's the potential relegation promotion of a football team,
which is really only the background thing.
There is that's
more again. That's just about the journey.
There's the intrigue of the former owner of the club trying to get in and out of the club, as it might be. There's Ted Lasso's relationship with his wife. There is the chair of the football club. Her difficulty in finding.
And only murders is about those people. Like you have the father-daughter relationship with his ex and the father-son relationship, and it's all about the relationships of the people.
No, it is. But I think in Ted Lasso, there's no kind of overarching sort of a thing. It's really about the journey that the characters are on in this process. There's no, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? There's no such thing like as in this is what happens.
Is very. I mean, whether or not, like, to be honest with you, I watched the first series wondering would they be relegated.
Yeah. See, I don't think about any of that kind of stuff because to me, the football, this could be set anywhere. It just happens to be set in football.
And I would say
because the character predates the
points
show.
That you make as well. Is the point of the show overall not that you were saying he does nothing to affect change? Isn't it about build? Yeah, he builds teamwork. The point is, he breaks down the barriers between each one of the players. So by the end of the first season and by the end of the second season, they're functioning as a team. That's the crucial reason that Ted Lasso was there.
Yeah,
because they weren't working together. And I know it's a cliche, and you've seen that in every sports movie, but that's what it's about.
I mean, at one point, Roy Kent comes in and has a big conversation with them, and he's very upset about something, and he goes, "It hurt my feeling." And I'm sorry, that's funny. If
so
you know the Roy Kent
went
character.
In with, I don't think your expectations could have been any higher for season 3.
Yes.
And I know people who started watching it nightly so that they finished the end of season 2
in time for
season 3
It's killing
started.
me that it's week on week.
So going into it, is it everything that you wanted? Is it as good as you were expecting?
I find it as good as I was expecting because it's still it's a little bit darker and a little bit sadder, whereas it was more on a high note. And there's only 2 so far, and there will be, I think it's 13 or something in this series. So, and they are almost an hour long each. They run anywhere between. That's the crazy thing about it, is there's no set runtime for this show. You can watch one that's 40 minutes. You can watch one that's 52 minutes, 3 minutes. But it's. I do find the emotional side of it, as in I am drawn into it. You do feel that. To me, when I'm watching it, I nearly feel the emotions of the people that are in it, because I feel connected to them. And I just think that's what I love about it, is the characters are so well kind of, to my mind, sort of fleshed out, as in they're not, they're not one-dimensional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of think you know everything about them.
It kind of, I think that's what Ricky Gervais kind of achieved with The Office.
It's similar in that kind of
Now,
thing.
whether you like the humour of it or not, people were heavily invested in will they, won't they relationships.
The emotions,
and stuff,
the emotions, yeah.
That's it, and the friendships between the 2 guys in the office and that kind of thing. I think it's very much like that. It's the same as well if you watch like Parks and Recreation, that kind
definitely.
of thing. Similar type of thing. You kind of got totally involved in the people, which is what I like about it. So it's a little bit darker because of. Again, it's difficult to talk about it without ruining the season 2
finale. Yeah.
So there's a lot of different kind of threads sort of hanging now, that if this is, and they haven't actually said now, of course, that it's done so well, if they're going to stretch it out. I personally hope they don't, because they've always said
13, 40, 50 odd minutes. It gives them plenty of latitude to go through.
That's what I'm saying. Much as I love this show, I do hope that they end it in this series.
You want to look
that
back
was their,
fondly on it.
Exactly, because you mentioned Lost, and I start getting heebie-jeebies because I'm still not over it.
But I love the ending of Lost. So.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Loved
but
it.
you're in Egypt. I was trying to think of another
Lost,
word.
I know. I'm sorry. When it comes to Lost, I have to agree.
Pleased
You know, I'm fond of you. When it comes to Lost, I have to agree.
One
with
of the things
Greg.
about the ending of Lost is
They ran out of ideas.
when you
right?
chat
They
to
ran
people.
out of
Well, okay,
ideas.
I won't talk.
They came in.
I won't answer.
They came in and just did time travel because bloody hell, we can't.
One of the things
they
about
admitted they didn't have an ending.
One of the endings of none of what you said is true, but beyond that, it was
They
good.
started the show, and 10 years
Beyond
later,
the ending of Lost, what I find about people who don't like the ending of Lost is when you ask them about it, they don't understand it. Like at the end of Lost, they got off the island. That's how it ended.
I totally understand it.
They got off the island. The plane took off. Jack died. They got off the island.
My problem with the ending of Lost is that they took a TV show, they ran it for 10 years. They gave us
Or 6.
People had charts. People had it was one of the first
we're so
TV shows
Yeah.
where there was like an internet chat rooms about
But
it.
is that not the problem
Nobody
with
had
the
all that kind of
people,
thing.
not the show? That's the people.
No, because
No, we
what
are
they
the
did was
consumer. They make it for us.
Yeah, but if you have an unrealistic expectation,
unrealistic expectation, how this thing was going to
Hang on a
end,
second.
and in the end, they decided to end it the exact same way
Listen,
that everybody
can I
guessed it
just
was
say
going to
one
be ended
thing, right?
10 minutes into the first.
There's a very good reason why I will never clap when a plane lands, right? Because
it's the basic expectation.
Basic expectation. When I get on that plane, the basic expectation is that the person at the front is capable of landing the plane. Okay,
I know. I always
and
find
in
that
watching a TV show, my basic expectation is that it has a ending, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That is some way does my commitment over many, many years and the storyline and the actors justice.
Yes.
Lost did not do that.
In your opinion?
And I did not clap.
In the opinion of anybody.
No, not necessarily true at all.
Absolutely.
Well, not in the opinion of Michael.
No, definitely not.
No, but we're writing him off.
His point to the death.
We're writing him off at this point. That's just crazy talk.
So, what would you give the ending of Lost out of 10?
Oh, God, like something I watched 15 years ago. You want me to review it now without rewatching?
Oh my God!
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Well, the way, drink. I don't know what's going on.
The man that's currently watching the streets of San Francisco.
I'd say it probably a solid 8. Like the last season was probably
that's good.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
good.
solid. Yeah.
All right, so you're.
I mean, at the end of the day, they got. I mean, this is a spoiler, but the plane took off. Jack lost his life to do that, but he saved the people. He took on the responsibility of saving those people.
Do you remember though the amount of time we were trying to figure out what the noises and beeps and all, and they didn't have a plan for it.
They didn't. No.
They didn't have a plan
I
for it.
don't
They didn't
think
have an
I
answer.
ever got caught up in that.
Yeah, but we did.
Yeah, but then weren't you the fool?
99%.
No.
Yes.
No, because they wrote it and then they admitted.
They said
admitted.
You missed the whole point of Lost.
They said at the like Damon Lindelof said
They teased
during the run of it
for,
that they
10 years.
never had.
And
They
never-
never had.
10
He said
seasons.
we don't have a reason.
Listen,
We don't know what the numbers
I
are.
used to get mad in Breaking
Not
Bad,
over.
right? Not Breaking
Breaking Bad?
No. The one where they're trying to get out of the prison. What's that?
Prison Break.
I used to get mad whereby you would spend 2 episodes really invested in them digging a hole.
Yes.
Right. And then at the start of the 3rd episode, someone would discover it, fill it in, and then it would move on to something. There was no payoff for it. I found that really frustrating. That was just a couple of episodes. They teased the beeps or whatever it was, or the numbers or what they meant.
The numbers were a big one, yeah.
Right? Forever. And we were all so invested in it. And then they admitted that they really hadn't concluded what they meant or whatever.
Yes.
And they never tied that up.
It'd be like
That's not fair, Michael.
No, it'd be like as if you're watching a horror movie and there's noises in the house. And then it turns out that the people have mice.
Yeah.
You know, like
but it took 6 years.
You've spent,
but it took 6 years to get to that.
So you're like 2 hours into this movie. Every time there's a noise or a bump, you jump, and then it suddenly turns out that the exterminator shows up at the end and kills all the mice, and job done.
Okay,
you're like,
yes. The Defence Counsel now. You have the final say before the jury retires to consider its verdict. I'm the jury.
I would say if you watched Lost and were invested in the characters and the character arcs, not that nonsense that you're chatting about, it was a very satisfying
I find
conclusion.
against you, and you're in prison
There you go.
forever.
Forevermore.
Life. I mean,
do I get a Desert Island disc? Do I get to bring a box set with me?
Different radio
box
station.
Box set.
Kevin from Dunlow says, I'd like to mention the sad passing of Lance Reddick, who passed away a week today on St. Patrick's Day. What better day? I know the name might not mean much to some, which I think is a really good observation here, but the face is very much recognisable.
Oh, and the voice.
He was a familiar figure when you saw him. You were guaranteed a good show. Although he was only in Lost for a while, he may have made it better, but we'll never know now. As far as I know, his last appearance will be in John Wick 4, the 3-hour files. The 3 hours flies in. That comes in from Kevin in Dunlow. And pretty much a lot of the great shows that you know he was in, only 60 years of age as well.
Oh, man.
Loved him in everything. He was kind of the same in everything, but that was okay with me.
I have no problem.
Yeah.
No, I think people should just Google his
And you
picture,
know
because
straight away.
you'll hear the name and you'll hear people talking about him. And you're like, what's that all about? And then you'll see him. He was the huge, big, tall black man. I mean, he looked like he was on every show he was on. Anyways, he looked like he could have been 6 foot 4.
Camera was always pointing up.
I know, 6 foot 4. He gave the impression on everything that he was a big, tall. So he tended to play like authoritarian figures and that kind of thing. And his voice was fantastic as well.
John Wick he was in?
John Wick, he was in. Bosch.
Was he in The Wire?
He was in The Wire. He was in Fringe. He did appear on a few episodes of Lost. He did a lot of voiceover work, game work, and stuff like that. And he is very much beloved in the gamer community. For me, it's Bosch, because he was certainly over some seasons of Bosch. He was as much the lead, because Irving was as much the primary character in some of those seasons, particularly when his son was killed, and he launched an off-book investigation to find out who was doing that.
Because he could show some vulnerability in there as well.
Yeah, fantastic, yeah.
Wasn't he in the Baltimore TV cop
The Wire.
TV
The Wire.
show?
The Wire.
No, not the one prior to that. There was like
Homicide.
I think he was in.
If
that
he
as
was
well.
in it,
I think he was in the end of that.
Oh, okay.
He's
Before
been
it
in the-
became Law
he's
and
been
Order.
in the
Before that
Blacklist.
kind of Law and Order.
Let me see, what else was he in? I was in so much stuff.
Fringe is another one. Like,
Fringe was in.
I'm one of the lads I share with. He obsessively rewatches Fringe every couple of years. Loves it.
I am shocked.
And he was gutted. Like, it's like that's one of those people that you go to. Like, he's only 60, like as Greg said. He's only 60 years old. It's-
For a man whose name, if somebody had said to me, "Oh, the name passed away," as soon as his picture popped up on any of the social media feeds, I did take a minute to go, "Oh God."
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his work.
Yeah,
Fantastic work.
He was in brilliant stuff. What a body of work he has.
Incredible
behind
body of
him,
work.
But as I say,
Yeah, very sad for
60
his-
years of age is way, way too young. Right, we are going to take a break. 9-minute warning now, folks. If you want to be in with a chance to win €1,000 in cash and €1,000 voucher for an Atlantic Holidays cruise, you need to buy your tickets in the next 9 minutes. So you can do it on our website, highlandradio.com. We'll be loading the Trombola literally as you book your tickets. You can get one for a tenner, and then you can get them discounted as you buy 6 for 50, 10 for 80, okay? And you can put them in different names, your own name, whatever it might be. If you're intending to enter the €10,000 holiday prize plus €5,000 cash draw, get in the next 9 minutes, because you get effectively what would be a free entry in to win €1,000 in cash cash, €1,000 holiday voucher. It's early in the competition. The odds are good. Get in right now if you can. If you need to call us, you need to be very quick. Can't guarantee, by the way, in case there is a rush on the phones, but we'll try our best. 074 91 25,000.
The county's number one talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
There's nothing like a full Irish from Dunn Stores. Rashers, 2 packs for €4. Sausages, 8 for €1. Beautiful bread, toasted and topped with quality butter. Farm fresh eggs, just €1.40 for a half dozen. Dunn Stores has everything you need for the perfect full Irish. Plus, with our 5 off 25 grocery vouchers, you can save even more. Dunn Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Over time, it's natural for your hearing not to be as clear as it once was. The good news is, advances in hearing aid technology may offer different solutions. Sabrina Robb here from Donegal Hearing Clinic. We provide peace of mind with hearing issues that affect people of all ages. Contact us for a consultation at Donegal Hearing Clinic on 07491 88470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Stop. Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
All right, the time's 24 minutes past 11. A caller says, I watched Cocaine Bear last week. Fun film right from the start. Not one to watch with the kids. And I think in your review of it, Michael, you suggested same. By the way, if you've got any comments on anything you've watched or you're going to watch or you want to know what anyone thinks, let us know. 086 60 25,000. I found it a strange situation in that Cocaine Bear is just a low to medium budget film that ended up being debated on call-in shows and chat shows, and one person saying it's terrible what they did to that bear before they were told it was all computer graphics and stuff. It's just a cheap horror film, a slasher film. It's nothing more, nothing less, Michael. I mean, you can't go in with high expectations. That's all it is.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
Sharknado.
Yeah, probably a bit above that, but yeah, you're in the right thing. Oh no, you're absolutely 100% correct. No, it is what it is. It's sort of a mid-budget. It's not meant to be high art, but it's when those movies are done well, and I like those kind of movies. If they're done well, and rarely have I seen them done as well as this one, they can be a lot of fun. So this is one of those done well, and you're just there to see the gore and see what weird things they can do. And the special effects are amazing. The bear looks amazing. The bear looks real, but it's not a real bear because it's like rolling around on the ground, you know, high. Yeah, basically, it's a high bear.
We haven't got to that level of training of animals yet.
Not quite yet, you know.
Hopefully, we never will.
But there's a long line of these movies. I always reference 1978.
Careful with your phraseology.
Piranha, the 1978 version with Heather Menzies, which is similar. So much fun.
I didn't dangle my feet in the water off the pier in Mullinasol for a long time after watching that.
And Heather Menzies is in that, and I had a crush on her from the Logan's Run TV series and so forth. I rewatched it a couple of years ago, and it's still hilarious. Those things are funny, like they're funny. You're not meant to, and Cocaine Bear is great fun. But yeah, you don't bring the kids or Granny, maybe.
Right now, we have God Creatures starring Emily Watson and Paul Mescal opening in cinemas tonight. The film, of course, was shot in Donegal. It'll be on release in Century Cinemas Letterkenny and Eclipse Cinemas in Lifford and Bundoor. And described as a powerful drama set in a windswept fishing village, a mother's torn between protecting her beloved son and her own sense of right and wrong, a lie she tells for him, rips apart their family and close-knit community in what's described as a tense, sweepingly emotional epic. Shane Crowley is the screenwriter. He joins us now. Shane, good morning to you, and congratulations on getting everything in the bag and able to look forward to now opening the doors for the public to see this work.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Greg, man. Probably not one for the kids either necessarily, but yeah, no, a very proud moment to bring it to Irish audiences for sure, man.
Yeah, tell us, I mean, I gave a brief outline of the story and it's compacted, but in your own words, is that the story for you, or how would you describe it, Shane?
Yeah, for sure. I guess it's kind of like this, I guess we all know the prodigal son tale about, you know, the son coming back into his parents' house and stuff like that. So I guess there's a certain amount of that to it, about this kind of guy, an Irish guy who went to Australia and worked for a number of years. He left the family home, and then he comes back into it. And I guess the film gives you the sense of, you know, maybe like why he left, and, you know, the kind of problems that might have come beforehand. It's just kind of like about this kind of family of oyster farmers, and like he kind of had the sense of failure leaving and then coming back into it. He comes back with all this old baggage, like that he's unaware, like the community has moved on without him. And it's mostly about his relationship with his mother and the mother's perspective of him. So the delight and the joy that she feels in his, you know, like renewed presence in her home, kind of like this kind of classic Irish mammy. But yeah, he comes back and he's unaware probably of the changing times and the nature of changing relationships. And he commits an act of sexual violence against like an old friend that he doesn't question. And when he's pursued in court by his victim, the mother lies for him, and the community kind of shelter and protect him. And it just kind of tracks how and why that happens and why the mother makes her decision to do that. And then like the poisoning awareness of what her son has done and like the lie that she's told, and a kind of about this sense of denied justice that the victim has, you know, experienced, like the re-victimization of her. So it's just something that we were interested in exploring as storytellers, because obviously I think in every small community in Ireland, or, you know, everywhere in the like it's quite a global and universal thing, I would say, that there's just, you know, these privileges that men were given for long times, and yeah, about these kind of small communities closing ranks around rapists.
So, I mean, obviously you're tackling a very serious issue and have a story to tell in relation to that, but you have a story to tell as well, okay, that has a beginning, a middle and an end, but also obviously then you're writing about relationships. And I'm just curious as a writer, where does all of that rank? Do you know what I mean? Because most people, thankfully, who will watch it, right, will not be able to, or will not have experienced the actual storyline itself, but they will perhaps be able to recognize emotions that they've felt in relationships or didn't feel in relationships and want for. So how do you balance all those elements? What's the most important thing for you, for the audience member to get from it?
It's a good question. I guess we want to challenge people to like feel Aileen's joy at her son's coming home after being so long away, and to understand that feeling maybe like can be kind of uncomfortable because it informs the decision that she then makes to protect her son. And, you know, I guess, like, having talked to people who watched the film, like, they have said that they can initially understand what she's done, but then it's like, I mean, that's exactly the point that we're trying to challenge, is like, it's not morally right to make that decision to protect the people you love most when they've done wrong, you know? So it's just like, yeah, instances where the people you loved have done very challenging things, and what have you done in similar circumstances? Do you know what I mean? I mean, that might be quite
what
vague
might you
to talk
do?
about.
Yeah, I get you, Shane. Now, pardon my ignorance, Shane, and just in the filmmaking process, right? So you write and deliver the screenplay. Then, in terms of how a film is shot or on set and then post-production, and pardon me if I'm not using the correct terminology, like what's your involvement beyond sort of saying, right, there's the finished screenplay, generally speaking, or what's your preference even, maybe, if it's individual?
Well, this was my first ever feature screenplay. Obviously, the directors and the producers had made other, and the producer Fola had made other films. But I guess we all worked very closely together on the script and on the story for a number of years. Myself and Fola came up with the story, and I wrote the script. So then we came up with that in 2013 and wrote it for 8 years until it didn't go into production until 2021. And usually the case is that the writer would not be on set unless they're the directors themselves. But with the directors, we're great buddies now, that they wanted me there just in case there was any questions, or and also they created a very much like a family environment, because I had been in rehearsals and it had got exposed to the relationships and with Emily and Paul and Aisling and Tony and Declan. So yeah, it felt quite natural for me to be on set. I don't think I did. I didn't answer any great questions or provide any massive insights. But it was amazing to be in and around the action and stuff like that, because it opened my eyes to the actual teamwork that it takes to make a film like this. It's not the genesis of any one or two people, but it's like it takes a village to make a film, I think.
Yeah, and finally, Shane, when a book reader, when someone reads a book, they visualise the characters, attribute accents and mannerisms and what have you. I presume through the writing process that happens as well. How close to what you imagined in the writing of this is the finished product? And it doesn't have to be exactly the same. There's no right or wrong answer to that, if you know what I mean. I'm just curious as for someone who's written the work and how it ends up, how aligned are the two?
Pretty aligned, man, yeah. Very much aligned. I think now, to be honest with you, it's 2 years since I wrote anything on the script, and I've watched the film now a number of times. So it's like the film is now ingrained in my brain and in my kind of thinking. So I have no separation between the two, and I think that's a great feeling to have, to be honest with you, because if you had any preciousness or about it, it might be the best experience in the world.
No, that sounds like success.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Pardon?
That sounds like success. That sounds like a good result.
100% success. Yeah, amazing success. And listen, just before you probably you cut me off or anything, I just want to give a shout out to the people in Teelin, Kilcar, and then Ardrad and Killybegs who kind of welcomed us with open arms during the shoot, and just to tell them all that it was the most amazing time. And yeah, we'd love, hopefully they get to see the film and to see their kind of beautiful part of the world represented on screen.
Yeah, indeed. And there's a very important element to that as well, the amount of eyes that will be able to see that. And it really does have an impact in terms of visitor numbers and what have you. On a personal level, Shane, congratulations to you. It's a wonderful achievement. And we just wish you continued success. And hey, bring your films back to Donegal all the time. You're more than welcome, of course, as you know.
Thank you kindly, sir.
Right.
Legend. Take care, man.
Bye-bye. All right, that is Shane Crowley, who's a screenwriter. His film God Creatures stars Emily Watson and the man of the moment, it feels like, Paul Mescal. It's opening in cinemas tonight, Friday the 24th of March. It was shot in Donegal, of course. You heard Shane give a shout out to the particular areas. It'll be on release in Century Cinemas Letterkenny and Eclipse Cinemas in Lifford and Bundoran. And we shall see. Are you going to go and see that, either of the two? You?
Yeah, I might go and see it over the weekend. But I would say the luck of that must be unbelievable. That an Irish-made, Irish-written film, and then the Paul Mescal gets that break from Afterlife, wasn't it? No, After Sun. That so many people who may not have gone to see this, but now that he's in it, you know what I mean, with that extra thing. It's fantastic for them.
Will cocaine attract many tourists? Because, of course, it's also a heavily taxpayer-funded film, Cocaine Bear.
Will it attract
visitors? To where was it filmed? Wicklow?
Oh yeah, down in the wood. I was lost. It was.
No,
yeah.
you're not.
But are they promoting it? But are they promoting it as being?
No, but we funded it, right?
Oh,
so
I know.
I'm just asking. Will
I can't believe we actually paid for that movie?
But are people,
yeah, of course.
Now I'm really upset about that movie.
Any film that's made here.
No, I know, but I didn't actually realise Cocaine Bear was made here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all made in the Wicklow Mountains.
They came here to use the woods.
The film board. And
That's one of our bears.
But it's tax breaks.
That's one of our
bears.
Tax breaks and stuff.
Was it our cocaine? Did they use our cocaine just to really rub salt in the wound?
Or to rub cocaine?
Okay, no, I don't think so. I don't think it actually probably would have actually been real cocaine.
It was CGI cocaine
All
for
right,
the CGI bear.
we have paused the lines on our competition right now. Obviously, if there's anything that needs to be processed in the next couple of minutes, we're not going to leave anyone high and dry, but the lines are officially just paused for 7 minutes, okay? Until such time as we make a draw. Let's see, is the trombola there? It is. Look at it, all in shot. Amazing. Okay. We'll be back with more chat, of course, and that draw. If you want to watch it live, by the way, to make sure there's no shenanigans. Who's doing the draw?
Me.
Right, okay.
Michael
I want, now this is all done very legit, and we've always do it legit, but keep your hands out so we can see them and put them in and that. You know, just...
Okay.
Do you know
More
what I mean?
gesticulation is what you're
it's
looking
like
for.
really, it's a very important role that you have, and it's your trombola and all that. Right, we'll be back.
I love
with
my
more-
trombola.
That trombola.
You never mentioned that.
I know. I'm very
This is
quiet.
new information
That's
for me.
my...
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
New stock just arrived at Meehan's of Rafoe. Ladies wear by Diesel and Rant and Rave, including body warmers, hoodies, tops and jeans, both bootcut and slim fit. In the menswear department, check out the new range of chinos and blazers with polo shirts and shirts up to 5XL at Meehan's of Rafoe. Also stocking tough stuff workwear.
It's a Wednesday, the hump of the week. You've been really good, so why not treat yourself by stopping off at Kelly's Diner? With loads of parking, you can take a seat and get served in a friendly, relaxed atmosphere. An all-day breakfast, some lunch, maybe just a sandwich. The menu is packed with tasty favourites. Brighten up your week with a stop off at the award-winning Kelly's Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Are you looking for an exciting new opportunity? Randux Toronto are hosting a Careers Open Day on Saturday, 8th of April from 9:30am until 12:30pm in Dunloe, Donegal. Come in and see the facility, discuss job opportunities directly with staff and be in with a chance to win an Easter basket. Apply for roles at randux.com.
Not sure where to start with your smart meter? Sign up to a Home Electric Plus smart meter price plan from Electric Ireland to see how much energy your appliances are actually using. Track your usage monthly, daily or even hourly and get tips and advice on how to use less. It's a smart start to controlling your energy usage. To sign up, search Electric Ireland Home Electric Plus. Smart meter and online account required. Features available after 4 months. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
Don't miss the Clanry Hotel's Country Weekend, Friday 24th to Sunday 26th of March, featuring Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mazzell, Kieran Rosny, Eamon Jackson, Olivia Douglas, Brian Kerrigan and Mick Flavin. Pay at the door, €20 Friday and Saturday and €10 on Sunday afternoon. Overnight packages available. Call the Clanry Hotel on 9124369.
Right, welcome back. We probably need a team of medics on standby for these draws. If these draws of the events of the last few moments are anything to talk to. You can never trust, it's like a dog really, you can never trust a trombola because they could snap at any minute.
Just when I get a bruise, you're going to be very upset that you were mocking me.
Blame the trombola, not me. Come here, Dan Strand's Family Resource Centre are holding a fundraising concert. It's in aid of the counselling service. Duck Tree and Friends Jam Band will be performing on Friday the 14th of April in the Highlands Hotel in Glentees. Ticket available on the night or, on the night. There's a telephone number here if you need it. Doors open at 7:30pm. Tickets just €10. Deal Harps are holding a night in memory of Martin Duffy in Maggie's Tavern, St Johnston. That's on Saturday the 22nd of April. It's a ticket-only function. Thanks for all the support, and all proceeds will go to the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust. So happy to mention that. If there are tickets still available, by the way, just get back in touch with me and let me know so I can let listeners know if it helps. Right, okay. 4 minutes. Should I maybe get the 1:45 ad break out of the way and then come back and we can do the draw and then that clears the decks?
You look at me like I
own the place. You look at me like
you do as you see
You look
fit.
at me like I own the place. Right, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll take this break a little bit earlier. If you're waiting on the draw, stay right where you are. We're going to be making that draw very, very shortly. If you want to watch it, of course, go on to our website, highlandradio.com, click Watch Live, or go on to our social media, YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook pages, or indeed on Twitter. The winner of €1,000 and a €1,000 Atlantic travel voucher for a cruise is coming up very shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
New trainers from your favourite brands at Brian McCormick Sports, Brooks, Asics, On Running and Hoka. New Hoka Clifton 9 has a wider toe box and it's softer, giving you that Hoka spongy feeling, making your run more responsive. Step into our safe size experience. Have your feet measured and update your gait analysis. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Look the part, play the part on bmcsports.ie.
Check out these special offers at Simpson's Supermarket, Letterkenny. There's Neil's Soda Bread Flour, 3 kg, €2. Cheerios 700 gram, €2. There's 2-pack of McVitie's Digestives, €2. There's Coke 2-pack, 3 litre, €4. And Genteel Toilet Roll 24-pack, only €6.50. Plus lots of great offers in store for Easter. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson's Supermarket for great value every day.
Evolve Clothing Superstore. 2 floors of men's essential styles and fashions in casual wear, streetwear, formal wear and suiting. Plus over 200 styles of footwear. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com.
Banking can make you feel a bit. So why not switch to a provider that helps you take control of your finances? The On Post Money current account lets you see exactly what's going on with your money and gives you control with the tap of a button. Switch with the On Post Money app or pop into one of our 900 plus post offices. You don't even need to make an appointment. Take back power over your money today. On Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Now, today will be windy with fresh to strong and gusty southwest winds, outbreaks of showery rain with heavy falls at times and brief brighter periods, chances of hail or lightning in heavy downpours, highest temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees. Right, so it is time. We have a fantastic holiday to give away, holiday package to give away. All my details have been put in this box. Right, we are asking you, have you bought your tickets for the Highland Radio Mega Draw this Easter? You could win a €10,000 travel voucher with €5,000 spending money. It's in association with Atlantic Travel. The lucky winner can choose anywhere in the world to travel, either one big blowout or multiple trips. It's your choice. Your €10,000 will take care of you whenever and wherever you wish to travel, and you've got €5,000 cash spending money, but that's your money to do with what you wish as well. Right, we've just paused very briefly our ticket sales just for a minute or two because we're now about to do the draw for €1,000 cash plus a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise bookings. Now, cruising has become all the rage now. Maybe it had a reputation in the past, I don't know, but I know people of all different types that are cruisers, and apparently once you go, that's it. You're stuck in it for life. You love it, and all you talk about is cruising. Yeah, have you been on one yet?
No, I'm looking at one now for next year because I was this year, but I couldn't do the dates because it happened to be in May when we're supposed to be in Glasgow.
It's your half birthday. No,
it is. No, May is my full birthday.
Full birthday.
November's my half
Newly
birthday.
celebrates 2 birthdays a year.
You're 8.5 now, yeah? Okay.
I love it. You should always treat yourself. It's a way in which being nice to yourself.
I've been told
and you
that
should
before,
take all
but
the
I don't-
opportunities to be
I've
nice
got
to yourself that you
everyone else
can.
before me.
Yeah, you should never do that.
I do.
So I'm looking at a cruise
You
for
are-
next year, and I love that
You're
about
my hero.
this. I love that about this. This is my favourite one of all the draws. And I always find it so funny when people are kind of like, oh, really? What would you do with €10,000 voucher? I'm like, let me list the ways.
But listen,
because you don't have to spend it all yourself as well.
What I would do is, right, and I was in with Atlantic Travel, actually, by the way, a day or two ago, because I haven't been anywhere for God knows how long. I would do multiple holidays, personally speaking. That would be where I would get it for me. I'm not really interested in the Lapland or the Disney World. Maybe I might be in a couple of years, but at the moment I'm not.
Yeah, you're not in that space.
Singapore for 2 weeks or what. It's not for me, right? I would be doing probably, I think you could probably get, depending on what time of the year you go, a good 6 or 7 little breaks out of that, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, yeah, you could at least, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it depends on whether you full board, half board and all that razzmatazz. So this really kind of sorts out your holidays for quite a period of time. So I do it in chunks, little chunks is what
That's
I would
it.
do.
And if you have family members, you can also say, either give them a gift of some...
you mean...
Oh, the voucher,
like
you
brothers
can
and sisters
sell
or
them.
something?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to take some of the money for it, you could sell them some of the voucher. You can do all kinds of things with it.
Not a chance.
It opens up.
But that's what you might do, which you wouldn't even dream of doing, okay?
I'm a warm
so would you
generous
do the one
person.
big one, or would you do...
I think I'd do the one big one. I'm at that point in my life where, as they say, I've neither a chit nor child, so it's fine. And what I've always dreamed about doing is like doing a month.
Yeah.
You know the way I always think, oh, that's what you do, is just go somewhere.
City
like
hop almost,
do
resort hop. Yeah.
I'd love to do Japan. I'd love to do kind of East. I've never really been anywhere in the eastern part of the world. All of that sort of thing, and that you'd sort of like hop around and do a few bits. I've always wanted to do the South Island in New Zealand, which.
Have you tried any of the other islands? Or
The north is fabulous, and it's supposed to be the crappy end of New Zealand. Right. So I'm like, if the north is that fabulous, I can't even. The south is you can actually go down one side and see all the cities. I've said this before. Then at the bottom you can go out on a small cruise and see the fjords, and they've all this, and because it's obviously freezing cold down at that end. There's icebergs and all that crack, and then you come up the other side then, and you go through the Marlborough region, which is where. They don't make a bad wine or cider.
Sounds fantastic.
You need cash for that.
What would you do, Michael?
Neither. Can I just ask? Neither chick nor child. Fruly, you're both. To me, anyway, you're both chick and child in my eyes. I'd probably do something very TV oriented. I'd love to go to Vancouver where they filmed the Highlander TV series.
That's perfect. You see, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'd love to visit the sites of that. Toronto, I'd love to go back to Toronto this time to see where they filmed other TV shows. Paris, they filmed Highlander there. Particular places I would visit that I'm now more... So, yes, TV generated stuff. TV stuff.
I didn't realise the nerd in you was all encompassing.
It is.
I thought it was just little... But it's literally...
You thought it was just on a Friday between 11 and 12.
No.
Actually, I carry it home. I'm like this at home.
It's just psychopathy, isn't that what they say when it's like deep inside in your...
I do think you do really cheap, because I think you would fly economy, and
yes,
I think you would stay in really, really cheap but functional accommodation with a backpack. I don't think you would ever carry a hard case.
That wouldn't worry to me. That wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah,
we would be on the exact same holiday, but I would be in first class, and then I would be
texting each other.
I would be in... While I'm in the 5-star hotel up the road, he'd be in the hostel.
I'd be in the hostel, yeah.
But we would have a great time on holidays together. We would just never actually be...
He wouldn't matter. Top bunk, bottom bunk, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Right, let's do this. Okay, it is draw time, everybody. It's all very, very exciting. The draw drum is there. It has been rotated quite a bit already, but do you want to do it more for dramatic effect?
For it to be seen, to be given a spin.
Okay, for those of you listening, it's amazing. It is beautiful. Yeah, she's hugging it, by the way.
I just love it.
That's love.
Yeah, okay. It is love.
It stays in my office when it's not in use.
Let's see if we can dig...
We're good? I go myself?
Yes.
Or Michael, do you want to pull it out?
Do you want me to go? Okay.
All right.
So Michael is digging his hands in, he's looking away, he's rummaging around.
That's what we're looking for.
Excellent stuff. And he's pulling a single one out. Right, and he's going to present it to this camera here, if you want to.
Which camera here?
This one here, yeah, if you want to. There, look. Rotate it so it's readable. 0720. The winning ticket is 0720. We'll leave that one out for a bit. You can take your seats now. We'll put that back in once we identify the winner. So... ticket. Not yet. We'll keep it out just to verify, if that's okay. So, someone, the winner, the holder of that ticket, has just won €1,000 in cash, which you can spend this weekend if you want, and €1,000 voucher to use on a celebrity cruise booking, which, if a cruise is not on your horizon, you can sell that. I mean, I'm sure you can transfer
But the
that.
thing about the celebrity cruises, which people should look up and see, is that they actually do a lot of short haul
2
ones.
3 day ones, yeah.
So if it's something that you've never done before, it's a way in which kind of dipping your toe into the cruising world, because I'm always like that. You see some of them and they're fabulous, but they're like 15 days and you're like, oh God, could I spend 15 days?
Is anyone doing anything with that number? Are you trying to find out the winner? Okay, they are. Okay. No, everyone's having a chat out there, and I was wondering, do they know
I'm
what's
sure
happening?
they are.
Okay.
But the thing about celebrity cruise is you can check them out and see. They're actually like a lot of them are the short haul ones. That €1,000 would actually get you the whole cruise. We'll get one person through the whole cruise. That's the kind of way that they work.
Yes.
They're to me, I always think of them as being nearly like the teaser cruises, as in dip your toe in the water, see whether or not this is something that you like. If it's something that you've always wanted to try, just for the experience, they're well worth checking them out. And thank you to Atlantic Travel for coming on with us as well.
And call in. It's not something I've done before. Call in and. There's no point guessing. You go in and you speak to professionals, and they know what the crack is. Do you know what I mean? That's the good
Absolutely.
thing about that whole.
I know, and people sometimes think, oh well, they'll just book the flights or whatever, and you don't need to go through a travel agent. But you forget the travel agent can put the whole package together for you in a way that you're hassle free, and God forbid anything goes wrong with the flight's not coming back or that the accommodation isn't up to scratch. You're not on your own. You have that backup and support. You have the insurance that comes from the travel agents being there. I think it's a resource that we've nearly kind of forgotten about the importance of it for a lot of people, and it's good, as you say, to call in and see the kind of packages and value that you can get from them.
For sure, and that expertise and experience takes the guesswork out of a lot of it. All right, so we are waiting to see if we can get the winner on the phone. If not, we'll announce it very shortly. The number was 07200720. It seems that every time we pull a ticket out, the word Carragart is mentioned. I don't know. It just feels like we had a couple of winners from that area. We've had winners from all over the place as well, though. But do you want to guess where they're from? I'm not saying let's play a game.
I'm useless at guessing where they're from. Because I have to say, I'm here 10 years and I still keep hearing new townlands.
Okay.
It's amazing to me. Every once in a while, you answer the phone and talk to somebody.
Right, okay. Good morning, Patrick. How are you getting on?
Greg, how are you? Grand.
I'm doing good. So, do you know why I'm calling you?
Good idea.
Did you buy a ticket?
I did last Monday, I bought 10 tickets,
Right, well, I've stolen Lee Gooch's clapping because you have won €1,000 in cash and a €1,000 voucher for a cruise with Atlantic Travel. Congratulations, Patrick Badley Bongrana. Well done. Congratulations.
Lucky at last.
Excellent. Lucky at last.
Thank you very much.
All right, so you're going to go and have a look at these cruises, aren't you? Because have you been on a cruise before?
Yeah, a few years back, it was through Atlantic up there,
Really? Oh, wow. So you just go back to Atlantic Travel again and see what else you can get. Brilliant. And also...
Tickets, what you know,
Exactly. And also that €1,000, that's for you. That's for your pocket, and you can do with
brilliant,
what you want.
fantastic.
All right. Congratulations, Patrick. Well done to you.
And tell the Atlantic people I'll see them shortly.
Oh, hey, that's what we want to hear. All right. And your ticket now, by the way, 0720 is about to go back into our draw drum, right? That's going to actually happen on camera so everyone can see it happening. So you may well win the big one as well. But congratulations for now. Have a lovely weekend.
Great, that's great.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Great.
Take care. Bye-bye, Patrick. Okay, Patrick Bradley in Buncrana. 0720 was his number. He won. You could hear the happiness in his voice, and I think there was someone else in the car with him as well. He has been on a cruise before, booked through Atlantic Travel.
There you go.
And he's going to go back to Atlantic Travel and have a look again.
That's it, fantastic. It's amazing to me, all the people who've been on cruises. You know, it's one of those things you kind of have in your head. Oh, I'd love to try it.
But do you know what I love about our draws? And I've said it before, and it's not to take away from anyone else's, is because this is why we broadcast into the Northwest here, right? It's not like a Facebook one that, people are buying tickets all over the world or what have you. And invariably, although not exclusively, people can buy tickets from wherever they like, but it's someone, that crazy connection that Patrick's already booked something through Atlantic Travel. Do you know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that side of things. The lines, by the way, are now open for you once again. So if you want to purchase your tickets for the €10,000 voucher and the €5,000 cash, the website is accepting, of course, your ticket purchases again. And if you want to give us a call, 07491 25,000.
Perfect.
Right.
I just want to give a mention out as well to people, because we're still getting calls from people who don't seem to realise that the Daniel O'Donnell concert that was postponed from the 18th of March 2020 is now happening on Tuesday in the Mount Errigal Hotel. Doors open at 7 o'clock. And if anybody has tickets from the 2020, we didn't redo the tickets because it just would have been crazy to try and get them out to the individuals. So just bring your old tickets, come to the door. That's what we're accepting as coming in. And if anybody has any problems with their tickets or anything like that, bring proof of purchase, and we'll be able to work around it. But contact us if there's any issues, and just let people know. If you know anybody that had them back in the day, remind them again.
All right, okay. Michael, thank you very much for calling in. I always enjoy your company, especially when you're a bit edgy like you were today. I like that.
Or daft is a better way to describe it.
Rabbit, thank you very much indeed.
All right, chick.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe and have fun if you can. We're back with you Monday morning at 9. Have a wonderful weekend. I said that already, didn't I? Thanks to Donna Marie Doherty, who researched and produced the programme. Caroline Orr, of course, who's always working on it, but she's working on a show we're doing next week, which I'll tell you more about on Monday. John Bresson's next.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with